You can't defeat Mother Nature. Hey, hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. This time talking about another infamous Batman rogue, Poison. Poison Ivy. Making sure everything works. Alright, looks like you guys can hear me. At last, we're on to Poison Ivy. Yep, we're doing it just in time for the Green Month. Yeah, sorry, not doing it exactly on St. Patrick's Day because that's a Tuesday, and I'm not sure if I'll get a huge audience from that. So we're gonna do it now, talking about the evil green machine Poison Ivy, aka Pamela Lillian Isley, once a renowned doctor who studied plants and botany, turned into a mutant freak who now rampages in Gotham City, trying to make the world a plant world. Poison Ivy is an eco-terrorist. She cares about plants, but not so much about humans, which is what puts her squarely against Batman. Batman protects all life. Poison Ivy is a little more picky over who she's fighting for, namely plants. She prefers plants over people, to the point of being an insane psychopath willing to jeopardize billions of human lives just to save plants. As Uma Thurman would say, a noble cause for what's right. Hey Kat, hey John Smith. Time for everyone's favorite mistress of plant life, Poison Ivy. Alright, making sure everything works. Yeah, definitely you guys can hear me. Adam and Evil. Yep, we got every Poison Ivy on here, including Uma Thurman. All the big-named Ivies. Sorry, some might be missing, so I'm sorry if you were hoping to see the Scribblenauts Poison Ivy, or one of her many cameos, but we got all the main Ivies, the ones who matter, the ones from a lot of mainstream media, and we're gonna be judging and ranking them all up on this here tier list. I mean, today is also Friday the 13th, but hey, close enough to green as Patty's Day. Yeah, I was hoping people would be into it. Yeah, St. Patty's Day might have to do the Leprechaun saga. Unfortunately, there's a lot, and a lot of them are not good. So I decided to do Poison Ivy, everyone's favorite green gal. As you can see, we got a lot of Poison Ivies on here, and I will be ranking and judging and critiquing all these interpretations of our favorite femme fatale, ranking them from top best to bottom worst. So I'll go over the tier list if this is your first tier list ever, or if you don't know the rules. I'm going to talk about each and every interpretation of our beloved flower, talking about who's great, who's not, who's in between, and we have their own unique categories. Up top, we have Mother Nature, the S tier, the perfect 10 out of 10s, the greatest interpretations of Poison Ivy ever. We love them, fans love them. They were from a really great Batman story, definitely made Poison Ivy an iconic household name. The interpretations of Ivy we absolutely love. They are Mother Nature. Then in A tier, we have Pretty Poison. Yeah, I hope my animated series fans get this reference. Pretty Poison is a good Ivy. Good, not great. Might have a nitpick or a flaw here and there, but I'd definitely say they're entertaining. They did good, they did their job. They're definitely still golden Poison Ivies, just not platinum Poison Ivies. They are a pretty poison. Then, right smack in the middle, we have Wallflower. These ones are okay, they're adequate, they're serviceable Poison Ivies, have a lot of good for going for them, but an equal amount of bad. Usually a lack of screen time might hold her back, but they're right smack in the middle. These ones are Silver Skull territory. They are definitely decent Poison Ivies, but ones that could use some improvement to stand out. They are a Wallflower. Then we also have Unknown Specimen. This one speaks for itself. These are Poison Ivies I do not know. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know this Poison Ivy. I never seen her, never watched the show, movie, or whatever they're from. I just don't know anything about them, but I'm gonna put them right smack in the middle because they don't deserve to go on rock bottom. Then we have Needs Water. These ones are your bronze medal Ivies, the ones that need much improvement. There was definitely a spark of hope there. They could have grown into this awesome Poison Ivy, but had a lot of flaws and negatives holding them down. I will say there might be one praise here, but definitely a lame duck Poison Ivy. They need water. And at rock bottom, we have Dead Plant. These ones, total losers. The failures, the 0 out of 10s, maybe even negative 1,000 out of 10s, because there are some pretty bad Poison Ivies out there. These ones, they suck. They're awful. Do not like them, do not recommend them. Might even be from a god-awful DC show, but you get the idea. They are failures. They are dead plants. And as you can see, we got a lot of Ivies to work with. From cartoons, TV, movies, video games, etc. Even Lego Ivies are on here. And we're going to be talking about all of them. Agreed, not a huge fan of the Leprechaun movies myself. Thank you, Shadowlink. That's kind of why we haven't talked about it. I don't even like Leprechaun 1. Warwick Davis is awesome, he's definitely funny, but the movies are not really my thing. They definitely feel like they're trying to be R-rated Goosebumps episodes, but the comedy misses more than it hits. My real name is Adam, I had to. Haha, very clever, John Smith. Or I should say Adam. Yeah, I'm doing Poison Ivy for Friday the 13th. Hello. Hey, Yara, you made it. Ultra Yara is here. Really love her. She did one of the fan arts we reposted. Which is worse, Teen Titans Go or Thundercats Roar? Oh, that is hard. Teen Titans Go is bad, but it has one or two good jokes. Thundercats Roar, I do think, is worse. It didn't even make it past one season, whereas Teen Titans Go actually did. Yeah, Thundercats Roar, definitely. What? No Friday the 13th tier list on Friday the 13th? Well, we kind of already did that, Tails. We did, like, all of the Friday the 13th, and I even did an updated one with all the fan films and the new release that came out. Might do one once the prequel Jason show comes out. There's allegedly a prequel Friday the 13th starring Linda Cardellini as Mrs. Voorhees. I was actually looking forward to that, but as usual, streaming shows keep postponing it until it was eventually released. It's supposed to come out this year, but I'm kind of on the fence about watching it because it's taken so long. But yeah, if the show does finally come out, we'll do an updated Jason tier list. Hey, that fan art is still one of the best drawings so far. Yeah, it is, Altro Yara. Yeah, it is. Would you ever do a review on Thundercats 2011? Ooh, I actually might. I do own it on Blu-ray. I do have the show, and that does make reviewing things much easier when I actually have a physical copy on hand. As much as I love you guys, I do have trouble finding some of these shows online. Especially Spooksville, which I still haven't found a good sample of. But yeah, I did do a tier list on it, and some people were really into it. Yeah, Thundercats 2011, awesome show, highly recommend it. Will I review it? We'll have to see. I do own it, so it's possible. Never saw any of them. I remember Nostalgia Critic's review of the first with Cinema Snob, the first video I saw Brad in. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, we saw Brad Jones, the Cinema Snob, and Nostalgia Critic met for the first time, and they did a wacky review on Leprechaun. Actually, one of the underrated critic reviews. It was pretty funny. I like Friday the 13th movies. My favorites are Part 3, The Final Chapter, Jason Lives, and The New Blood. Part 3 I have mixed feelings on. The 3D got really annoying in that movie. But I like Part 2 a bit more. Top 10 horror movies you can survive, the Saw series. Some of the traps are easy to escape. Unless Jigsaw is Hoffman, then you have zero hope. Okay, so talking about Poison Ivy, I do really like this character. Shocker, Poison Ivy has a huge fan base. A lot of women love her because she's a kick-ass femme fatale. A lot of guys like her for obvious reasons. Poison Ivy is usually pretty. She's literally a poisonous femme fatale. She's as beautiful and deadly. She is kind of a seductress. She can use powers and a lot of pheromones to lure guys in, make them fall for her. Ironic because some versions of Poison Ivy are so hot that she doesn't even need the pheromones, but yeah, she seduces people in and then she kills them, either through her weapons or usually her toxic kisses. Joel Schumacher, to his credit, actually made this her iconic attack. Poison Ivy has venom-filled lips. She became mutated into a half-human, half-plant hybrid. At least in some versions, Batman the Animated Series was kind of in the middle over how much of Ivy was a plant versus her human half. But yeah, Poison Ivy, usually she's a plant-themed villainess. She cares about the plants, cares about the environment, wants to help save plants, actually does have a sympathetic side to her, but Poison Ivy has completely turned her back on humanity. That's what puts her on the villain path. She no longer considers herself human, no longer cares about human lives, cherishes plants a lot more than she does people, and this puts her into conflict with Batman all the time. Depending on which version you follow, some versions of Ivy are sympathetic and likable, and some are a full-on monster. Poison Ivy usually leads towards morally gray because we do see she does have a sympathetic side to her, namely Arkhamverse and animated series Ivy, but some completely embrace their evil halves. I point to the Doom That Came to Gotham Ivy and Uma Thurman Ivy especially. Should get along with Swamp Thing very well. Oh, there was a pretty funny story about that, but yeah, Swamp Thing does not like Ivy, though, because Ivy takes advantage of the green, whereas Poison Ivy is using the plants for her selfish, villainous end goals, while Swamp Thing just wants the forest to be kept safe. Who would you say is the scariest iteration of Poison Ivy? Ooh, that is kind of hard. I would say Arkhamverse Ivy, definitely, but the Doom That Came to Gotham Ivy down here is like a full-blown Lovecraft abomination. She looked pretty scary. Also, the TMNT Ivy was pretty creepy until she was played for laughs. Speaking of Nostalgia Critic, one of these Ivies gave him the most famous meme. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hey, Cat. Hey, Light Jones. I agree, I used to think the 3D effects were creative, but looking back on it, I totally understand and respect your opinion. It was the 80s when 3D is still a test of the retro era. Yeah, it's like, some of the shots do work, but it got annoying how many times they would hold, like, inanimate objects towards your face. They should have saved those for the Jason kills only. Okay, so Poison Ivy, basically femme fatale, seductress, loves plants, uses plants sometimes. Some versions of Ivy do control plants, and some do not. Namely, a lot of the TV or live action versions of Ivy, we don't see her controlling plants to the same god level skill we see in the Arkham games. Some versions of Poison Ivy, she has like green skin, showing that she's more plant than human by this point. Ivy can control and talk to plants in all versions, but the scale of power definitely differentiates. Some versions of Ivy have like a full plant army, and some just like merely talk to plants and need to actually do a lot more physical efforts to basically carry out her plans. Like Uma Thurman's Ivy, she could not control like too many vines. Usually she had Bane doing all the heavy lifting. But yeah, we're gonna talk about each and every Ivy. There are a lot of good Poison Ivies. This character is definitely one of the best Batman villains of all time. Once Catwoman started becoming a morally gray anti-hero, they needed a new hot, sexy femme fatale, and that was Poison Ivy. Ivy was not in the Adam West show. She was actually introduced in the 70s, long after the Adam West show was off the air. Ivy became the new femme fatale villainess, had her kick-ass plant gimmick, had very interesting stories, interesting powers, a really great backstory. Jason Woodrue seduced and used her, only to accidentally create her as a much stronger plant villain. I know I said this already regarding Bad Goosebumps or Haunting Hour episodes, how would he write them or fix them? I did talk about that in the comment. That would probably take an entire video to explain, but yeah, I could definitely improve a few episodes, namely making a few of the comedy episodes dead serious. And, you know, removing stupid scenes like a robot crushing a soda can or speed knitting. Also take a shot every time someone did something stupid in those episodes. Well, they are kids. Sometimes it was excusable, and sometimes it absolutely was not. Yeah, Poison Ivy, I do like this character. Really cool. It took me a while to rewatch a lot of the stuff that had Ivy prominently in it, which is why this tier list took so long. I waited for the stupid Batman Aztec movie to come out to talk about Aztec Ivy, because she was like in all the posters and trailers, but now we're finally here and finally doing this. You all love Poison Ivy, women want to be her, men want to be with her, she is cool, she is kick-ass, has a lot of great designs, a lot of great interpretations, but there are some poorly grown plants in the mix there, and we're going to be talking about all of them, so let's finally start this tier list. Alright, so who should we start with first? I guess we should go with Poison Ivy's first ever media appearance in the DCAU Batman the Animated Series, Diane Pershing's Ivy, who is, shocker, going on to Mother Nature. Yeah, Batman the Animated Series was the first show to feature Poison Ivy, and man, did they leave a great impression. Diane Pershing is the voice actress for Poison Ivy in this cinematic universe, and she does a pretty good job. Diane Pershing has a really sexy, alluring voice. She's introduced in the episode Pretty Poison. Yes, I did reference that. Pretty Poison has Poison Ivy show up as this hot, sexy girl dating Harvey Dent, who poisons and kills him. Yeah, Harvey Dent and Isley are actually dating. Isley is a friendly activist girl, kind of the girl next door type, but it's all an act. Poison Ivy seduces Harvey Dent and gives a poison kiss to him. However, it does not insta-kill Harvey. Harvey is hospitalized and slowly dying. Batman finds out that his best friend was poisoned by his new date, Pamela Isley. Isley is a famous botanist who was protecting this nature preserve, which was unfortunately ruined because Harvey Dent funded construction for Blackgate Prison there. Blackgate Prison came to this national park and destroyed the entire land and endangered a rare flower. Poison Ivy tried to save the endangered flower and took out all her wrath on Harvey Dent. Yeah, instead of blaming the city, she tried to kill Mayor Dent. Harvey's poisoned. Batman has a kick-ass adventure. We get to see a proper introduction to Poison Ivy. Batman's investigating, finding out more about her, and Ivy reveals herself in her supervillain gear that she has mutant plants and she's going to take back Gotham by planning it with her mutant abominations, starting by killing that worthless government man Harvey Dent. And I do like her weird, like, crossbow wrist gun. That thing looks pretty cool. Yeah, Ivy uses a weird, like, crossbow on her wrist. It looks really cool. It's supposed to be like a symbolic metaphor for Cupid's arrow because Poison Ivy's a seductress. She plants a kiss on Batman. Batman fights her phallic-shaped plant. It looks pretty suggestive. Vagina dentada. Yeah, he fights her weird suggestive phallic plant, kills it, fights Poison Ivy, and actually hilariously beats her. He threatens to destroy her plant if she doesn't give him the antidote, and Poison Ivy completely cracks, showing kind of how crazy she is. She doesn't want the plants to die. She is completely grieving and wounded because she shot and accidentally killed her phallic plant while trying to kill Batman. Batman gets one over on her, defeats Poison Ivy, and Ivy is ironically locked in the same prison she was protesting against. Ha ha, poetic justice. And Batman saves Harvey Dent and warns him that, you know, maybe you should be careful about who you date next time, Harv. Yeah, Batman animated series Ivy, like a lot of characters in the show, is fantastic. Absolutely. So Poison Ivy would have a lot of great episodes. One really creepy one where Poison Ivy tried to start her own family. It turned out she drugged her psychologist, one of her doctors at Arkham. She began, like, dating a doctor there. Batman suspects that Ivy's up to her old tricks, but Ivy seems to have turned over a new leaf. Ha ha, wink wink. Yeah, Ivy seems to be going straight, going good, has a husband and 2 children, and then Batman finds out a dark truth, that this doctor didn't have 2 sons, he had 2 daughters, and Batman is now thinking, well, who the heck were those 2 children who are hanging out with the couple? Ivy's, like, dating this guy, and it becomes very clear the guy is not in his right mind. We get our first introduction to Poison Ivy using her powers to manipulate men. He is completely under her spell because Ivy's a seductress at this point, and Ivy has this really insane and creepy scheme where she's trying to grow her own family. Yeah, if you saw my Stay Out of the Basement review, it is almost exactly like that. Ivy has, like, a secret lab underground in the house basement and is making these creepy plant babies. We see they're, like, hatching out of, like, spore pods. It is very disturbing and absolutely holds up as a great Ivy horror episode. Ivy reveals she's up to her old tricks. She's trying to make her own plant family, grew like 1,000,000 plant sons. The doctor has been brainwashed. Batman breaks him out of the spell. He reveals everything, and Batman has a fight with Poison Ivy. He defeats her and destroys her family home, symbolizing that Ivy has completely lost her chance at a good, normal life. But it actually ends on kind of a tragic note. Ivy was serious about wanting to go straight, wanting to settle down and raise a family and be happy. Unfortunately, the episode highlights that she is her own worst enemy. Ivy is pretty much the big reason why she can't ever be normal, because she's just too evil and villainous. She doesn't see any wrong interactions, and Ivy actually gets away in the end, but she's on a plane heading out of the country, crying to herself about how alone she is. And it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy that Ivy is the one dooming her own happiness. Poison Ivy did want a good life, did want to be a hero, did want to be a nice girl, but ultimately her insanity is destroying her chances at happiness. Then, as you all know, Poison Ivy becomes best friends with Harley Quinn. Yeah, she returns for a much funnier episode, Harley and Ivy. Really great episode. If we ever do a tier list, you know that one's going up high. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy become best friends and implied lovers briefly. It's kind of a fling, honestly, but as we all know, the comic industry kind of milked this couple to death. Poison Ivy is bisexual, and I guess technically so is Harley Quinn now. Yeah, Harley and Ivy become girlfriends and become the queenpins of Gotham. Harley Quinn has a nasty breakup with the Joker, he kicks her out of the villain base, and Harley Quinn becomes besties with Poison Ivy. And yeah, this episode, it is absolutely fun. This episode served as the inspiration for the Harley Quinn TV show currently on now, where Harley and Ivy are villain best friends, and they're going on complete insane rampages together, robbing Gotham, succeeding, and becoming bigger villains than the Joker. And if you all know the Clown Prince of Crime, of course he's completely jealous and envious. He tries to find Harley Quinn, take her back, but is really using her. Harley Quinn is torn between two lovers, between her insane love with the Joker and her newfound friendship with Poison Ivy. It's a pretty funny villain turf war episode. Joker finds their base, attacks them, tries to steal the valuables they stole. They have a battle of the sexes. Batman comes in, beats up the clowns, and Harley and Ivy almost get away, only to get arrested by Renee Montoya. Yeah, it's once again, kind of ironic poetic justice. No man can take us prisoner! And Montoya crashes their ride and takes them in. Yep, girl power saves the day. And yeah, they pretty much make fun of how Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are not strong women, they are still evil bitches. And it leads to a pretty fun banter between Joker, Harley, and Poison Ivy even, because Harley keeps going back and forth. Poison Ivy is like frequently an inmate at Arkham Asylum. Usually she talks to Harley Quinn or one of the other Arkham inmates. It's pretty funny. He did a Mr. Freeze tier list already. Oh, my bad. Yeah, we did Mr. Freeze. Haven't done Clayface yet, Sabretooth. That one's still out there. I'm waiting on the James Gunn Clayface movie. Yeah, I do have to give him a fair chance. I will see the James Gunn Clayface movie. But yeah, we haven't done The Man of Clay yet. We did do Mr. Freeze. We did it like last winter. A nice continuity that even after that episode, that Harley still helps out Ivy in future episodes and not always a Joker. Yeah, they became kind of best friends. Implied lesbian lovers. There is a huge vocal fan base who supports the ship. I liked it at first, but it kind of became clear that a lot of people do not realize Poison Ivy is also a toxic lover for Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn basically leaves one abuser for another. Poison Ivy is also abusive, but she's less physically abusive than the Joker is. In my opinion, Harley is better with Poison Ivy than Joker. Well, that's because Ivy actually has manners. The Joker hits Harley Quinn all the time. Slapping around Harley, my hobby, by the way. I do like that Joker is not admitting it, but pretty much envious that Harley Quinn respects Ivy more, and, you know, Ivy is a better villain than he is. Maybe if the Joker didn't obsess with trying to one-up Batman all the time. That's to be determined because of Paramount. Okay. Hoping Margot Robbie stays on as Harley since James Gunn directed the Suicide Squad. I think she will, most likely. There's still time, so somebody said there was going to be a Gotham City Sirens movie. We haven't even seen Catwoman yet, but it's implied Margot Robbie will be one of the mainstays for the Gunverse. That is if Paramount doesn't completely pull the plug on it, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, this Poison Ivy, really cool, really kick-ass, and we should also get her other one, the new Batman Adventures Poison Ivy, who is pretty much the same character, but with a redesign. Yeah, also put her under S tier. I actually think Ivy did get an upgrade from her redesign. This Ivy has the alternate skin color. They did kind of de-age her a bit. Poison Ivy was like in her late 20s. Now she looks like a college girl in this version. Still pretty hot though. They gave Ivy another animation upgrade. All the Batman characters got alternate redesigns, and I think Ivy's was one of the better ones because she actually looks much creepier, looks much more like a femme fatale. They definitely ramped up her sex appeal if you weren't attracted to her already. Poison Ivy gets a few fun appearances. She gets the Christmas episode. I always make fun of Bodhi for not liking this episode. Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn drug and use Bruce Wayne to go on a shopping spree on Christmas Eve, and it is one of the most ridiculous but laugh out loud funny Batman shorts. Yeah, Poison Ivy plants a hypnotic kiss on Bruce Wayne, and they use him and his great credit cards to buy anything they ever want. And Poison Ivy and Quinn have like a girls' night out, are partying, and it's kind of funny seeing Poison Ivy played for laughs for once in the show. Yeah, Ivy and Quinn go on a shopping spree. Eventually, Bruce Wayne seems to die. He resists the kiss and falls down an elevator shaft. They assume they killed him, but let it go because they're evil bitches. However, we all know Bruce is alive and he becomes Batman, where he kicks their asses. Are you glad you finally got your stupid tree? Yeah. Yeah, Harley Quinn and Ivy are ironically crushed by a Christmas tree. Ivy is much funnier in this show. She does get one more creepy episode close to the end. We see Ivy and Harley are constantly bantering whenever locked in Arkham Asylum together. She gets an official episodes, or two of them, near the end of the season. We see her in the girls trio. We get a prototype Gotham City Sirens adventure where we focus on all the girl characters of Batman. Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and not Selina, Livewire, formed their own girl crime team. Yeah, they got Livewire instead of Catwoman. Why? So we could have a Superman crossover, because Batgirl and Supergirl team up and they have their kick-ass girls adventure. Ivy and Harley are still pretty funny together. It's pretty interesting seeing them banter with Livewire, who's a Superman enemy. They work together until the girls have no teamwork and fall apart and lose. And Supergirl and Batgirl prove that women can get it done. Yeah, it's also a pretty fun episode. My brother Wolf did review this episode. Check it out if you want to see it in greater detail. But Ivy did have one last episode on the animated series where, honestly, in one of her greater schemes and one of the darkest episodes, Ivy creates a bunch of plant femme fatale / seducers to hook up with a bunch of rich millionaires so they could get access to all their money. Ivy creates the ideal lover, a perfect man, perfect women who seduce a bunch of rich millionaires, and Bruce Wayne is one of them affected. Bruce falls in love with Sarah Connor. They have a loving romance for the first time. Batman is actually happy, even considers giving up the cowl, until we find out the dark twist. They're plants. Once again, Ivy created pod people, similar to Dr. Brewer, to seduce all these rich people so they could kill them and inherit all their money. And Poison Ivy will be rich because she's their mom and gets a sweet slice of that pie. Poison Ivy attacks a cruise ship, and honestly, one of the grosser scenes, she tries to kiss Tim Drake. Yeah, that actually happened. Look it up. Poison Ivy tries to plant a poison kiss on Tim Drake, who is a minor 12-year-old boy, so keep that in mind. But yeah, Poison Ivy fights them. Batman comes to his senses, finally fights Ivy, and we're led to believe that Ivy died. The ship goes down, Sarah Connor plant ends up killed, all the evil plant clones are killed with Weed Killer. Pretty darkly hilarious, honestly. But Poison Ivy goes down with the ship, and that's the last we ever see her in the main canon. And then she makes a few appearances and other stuff. She's in Justice League. I do like Justice Lord Superman brainwashed Ivy, and she loves plants now, or no, sorry, she's okay with people touching her plants. It's like, it's okay, nothing bothers me, and she's like trimming the plants. Poison Ivy became brainwashed as a gardener in the Justice Lord timeline. Pretty funny cameo, nice to hear Diane Pershing still voicing her, and she was also in a Static Shock episode where Ivy and Harley Quinn team up with a bang baby from Static Shock's hometown and basically try to corrupt this girl into being evil like them. Static and Batman work together to save the girl and they defeat Harley and Ivy. Pretty fun episode, but didn't get to do as much as you'd think. But yeah, Poison Ivy, still pretty cool. Yeah, that was a good fun 3 shorts like episode. Yeah, the Christmas one, Shadowling, that was a pretty funny one. Not gonna lie, I actually hated it the first time I saw it, but it has grown on me over the years looking back at Batman the Animated Series. Though, I still think the weakest one is Batgirl stopping Clayface's shoplifting spree. Had funny moments, but I did kind of laugh at the other two more. But yeah, that was kind of the end of this Poison Ivy. She just makes cameos for the rest of her tenure, but yeah, it's still the DCAU Poison Ivy, both going in S tier. Diane Pershing is definitely one of my top 5 Poison Ivy actresses. Her voice is really cool. She can express a variety of emotions, and basically made Poison Ivy kind of the definitive persona for the character. She's a creepy seductress, she plays and manipulates other people's emotions, and Poison Ivy is much smarter than she looks, and that's what makes Poison Ivy so deadly. So yeah, I'll put both animated series Ivies on S tier, going on Mother Nature. Yes, shocker, the animated series does it again. They gave us another classic character. Yeah, the idea of turning duplicate people by using her plants is really terrifying. Same with the Goosebumps book / episode. Stay out of the basement. Yeah. Alright, read that comment. Alright. Got my waters to stay hydrated and to make plant puns. Alright. Next we'll do the Batman Poison Ivy. So, Poison Ivy actually doesn't appear for the longest time until season 3 of The Batman, and she's teen Poison Ivy, making some fans very mixed on this interpretation. The Batman Poison Ivy I will put onto pretty poison. Now, I did really like Poison Ivy when she was introduced. Ivy is actually best friends with Barbara Gordon, because Season 3, the premiere at least, introduced us to the new Batman sidekick, Batgirl, and Batgirl was best friends with Pamela Isley. Batgirl and Pamela Isley are two basically rebellious teenage girls who like to stir up mischief and trouble, but believe they're fighting for a good cause. Barbara is best friends with Pamela Isley, and Isley is a juvenile delinquent in this version. She is an eco-terrorist, a kid way in over her head. She is trying to take down corrupt industries who cause pollution, using a lot of criminal and underhanded means. Pamela Isley is basically an annoying kid protester, almost in the same vein as Anarchy from Arkham Origins. She wants to tear it all down, destroy the corpos, destroy those evil polluters, take down the man, and it becomes very clear Pamela Isley is a toxic friend towards Barbara. Barbara is getting into trouble, especially with her dad, Commissioner Gordon. Gordon is warning his daughter that Isley is a troublemaker. She's a lost cause. Pamela will only bring Barbara down with her. He wants Barbara to do good in life. Barbara wants to be a hero, and unfortunately she's taking the wrong kind of advice from Pamela Isley. However, Barbara gains a new idol in Batman. She sees Batman kicking ass, saving the day, and realizes that she wants to become a superhero. We find out Pamela Isley is the villain of the episode. She's manipulating / crookedly paying this evil mercenary guy named Tumblr. He's basically Shocker. He's this discount Shocker guy. She's paying him to destroy these corporate industries on her behalf. She's using like a voice synthesizer and online interaction to manipulate him. She really has no intention of paying him or ever meeting him face to face, but is using him to take down a bunch of her enemies. This guy's destroying industries, and Batman finds out that Isley is working hand in hand with this discount Shocker guy. Eventually, the Shocker guy realizes he's being played by Poison Ivy, meets the boss in person, and is rightfully and royally pissed that she has been using him all along. He nearly kills Poison Ivy and Barbara, but Batman intervenes, and during the scuffle, Ivy is accidentally drenched in radioactive plant material. Ivy runs into a factory to dodge Discount Shocker. During the fight, a bunch of mutagen falls on her and Poison Ivy is drenched completely in plant fluid. She is taken to the hospital, but we get our horror movie twist that she's now Poison Ivy. The plants speak to her, talk to her, and mutate her into this form. Not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of this design, namely the hair. They made her hair look kind of like a rose flower. I guess that was intentional for the plant motif, but it is not a good look. And yeah, they weirdly kind of straddle the line over, are they making her a seductress or not? Ivy can still hypnotize and mesmerize people, but she's not really a legal adult yet, so they kind of toned down her sex appeal. I wouldn't mind, but the outfit kind of looks a little suggestive. Very underrated Ivy. Had some good featured episodes in Season 3, though unfortunately got sidelined further in the series. Yeah, exactly. After Season 3, Ivy was kind of just there. She was a side character, a bit player, until she eventually stopped showing up entirely. I do like Batgirl Begins. The Batman version of Batgirl is one of my favorites of all time. Really like her. Danielle Judovitz does a pretty good job. Batgirl works with Batman for the first time ever to defeat Poison Ivy. Ivy's powers are pretty cool. This does feel like a new animated series version of Ivy. She's really creepy, has this really soft-spoken voice. She's kind of sadistic in this version, likes to kill people, treat them like plants getting trimmed down. Ivy becomes a full-blown terrorist in this show. Batman and Batgirl work together for the first time to defeat Ivy. She shows up in another great episode where Ivy is brainwashing a lot of people, mainly politicians and influential people. Some of her enemies, like the police and Batman and Batgirl, locking them up in this creepy simulation world where everything's perfect, but really they're all in Matrix pods being used by her. Ivy tries to green up Gotham, make it a plant paradise. Once again, Batman and Batgirl kind of tighten their trust here, work together to defeat Poison Ivy and make it rain, basically weed killer. They make it rain weed killer, destroys all her toxic plants, and Ivy's dethroned. And then she kind of just makes cameos and side appearances from time to time. She's locked up by Rumor when he's killing all the Batman villains. She's there in a lot of big fights, is helping support other villains, and honestly her worst appearance is captured by Lex Luthor, so Luthor could use Poison Ivy's pheromones to mind control Superman. Yes, this is a very loose reference to Batman Hush, but it was better there because Ivy was an actual character and she was the one controlling Superman. But no, she was used as a living battery so Luthor could control Superman with her powers. I'm okay with the fact that they toned down her design, because imagine it would receive negative reactions from parents. Okay, so I am actually okay with them making Ivy a teenager in this version, especially because there is more emphasis on her protester side. Ivy is a lot more naive in this show, a lot more arrogant. She's basically a kid who thinks she's wise beyond her years, only to get literally cut down by the Dark Knight in reality. Not a bad idea. The design honestly could use some tweaking. I was again, okay with her being a younger Ivy, but the hair is what really kills me. It looks like Christopher Walken hair, honestly. The hair was supposed to be shaped like a rose, but it looks way too poofy and ridiculous. I did like Ivy initially at the start. Season 3 is this Ivy's best season because they actually hype her up and make her look like a cool villain there. Unfortunately, she kind of fell into the background come season 4 and 5. 5, she's not even in it all that much. She's literally a damsel captured by Lex Luthor, which is why she's not going on to S tier, but I think they did a pretty decent job with her. I'm gonna put her on to A tier. Yeah, I wish I wish we got more exploration of this Poison Ivy and Batgirl's friendship falling apart. Batgirl and Pamela Isley are actually best friends at the start. They fall apart, break up their friendship, Ivy becomes a villain, while Batgirl becomes a hero, and was really hoping they'd do their own, like, Bruce and Harvey Dent storyline through them, but they don't. Batgirl pretty much severs ties with Isley completely, writing her off as a bad influence like her dad said. Though, Ivy did come back in The Batman comic. I believe it's called The Batman Strikes or something like that, where we see the Gotham City Sirens, Harley, Ivy, and Catwoman, which is kind of weird because all the girl villains have much different age gaps between them. Ivy is like a teenager, Harley Quinn is like a 20-something, and Catwoman is a grown-ass adult, making all three of them hang out feel much weirder. Harley Quinn is like the unstable one in their Sirens team because she's so young and naive, whereas Harley Quinn, of all people, is trying to play therapist to her. If you were to make a top 10 best Batman villains, who would be number one? In my opinion, it would be Scarecrow. Yeah, I really like Scarecrow, but you know me, I'm a Catwoman fan too. Catwoman's not much of a villain anymore these days, but Scarecrow is my favorite full-blown evil Batman rogue. Well, I know I missed the animated series, but did you believe that the redesigned one was just a plant clone and she really died in chemistry? That was the theory everyone was saying. Sorry, catch up on comments. Let's not forget that this Ivy is the first Poison Ivy in an animated series to be barefooter rather than wearing boots or plant leggings. Yeah, it symbolized Ivy being closer to nature. The Arkhamverse definitely made it hotter, but here it was just a cool design. Okay, so yeah, she's going on to Pretty Poison. Really cool Poison Ivy character until she fell into the background. Going on A tier. Alright, next we'll do a short one. Brave and the Bold Poison Ivy, who was played by 3 people. Yeah, 3 different women played her. I'm gonna put her low on Pretty Poison. Once again, a really awesome design for Poison Ivy. They made her a legal adult again, so yeah, she was allowed to be hot. I actually love her cold open adventure. Batman is captured by Poison Ivy and her flower children, a bunch of hot chicks wearing nature jungle girl clothes. Poison Ivy takes Batman captive, and in return to her old school comic version, she wants to force Batman to marry her or be fed to her giant plant. Batman, of course, says, hell no, you bitch crazy, so she tries to feed him to her plant, and Batman teams up with Black Orchid. Yeah, Brave and the Bold kind of gave the spotlight to a lot of obscure characters. Batman and Black Orchid work together to defeat Poison Ivy and her plant girls. They have a sexy cat fight, a lot of phallic imagery, and Batman finally defeats Poison Ivy. Ivy was voiced by literally 3 different actresses in this continuity. First, Jennifer Hale voiced her, then Vanessa Marshall voiced her. I think Marshall actually did a pretty good job, and then Scooby-Doo meets Batman Brave and the Bold replaced her with Tara Strong. Because Tara Strong was playing Harley Quinn and they thought it would be cheaper. Yeah, I do not like Tara Strong's Poison Ivy, but we'll get to that when we get to an official Ivy. Honestly, really like this design, really had fun with this Poison Ivy. Unfortunately, she is not a key player. A lot of Batman's villains were kind of sidelined to give focus to more obscure characters. The Joker pretty much received the lion's share of the focus alongside Catwoman, which I was cool with, but yeah, a lot of Batman's enemies appear in like one and done episodes, and Poison Ivy had hers, and that was kind of the end of her. She appears with like villains in big epic fights and makes cameos, but that's about it. Honestly, I really wanted to love this Poison Ivy, but I'm going to put her onto low A tier. And yes, she is going to be outclassed by a lot of other flowers here. A lot of famous voice actresses there. Yeah, they were Shadowlinks. A lot of pretty good ones. They at least got a bunch of A-tier actresses to play Ivy. Yeah, first it was Jennifer Hale, then they got Vanessa Marshall, and Tara Strong played her in the Batman meets Scooby-Doo movie. Yeah, there was a Scooby-Doo meets Batman. This time it was the Brave and the Bold Batman. Really love Scooby and Batman meeting up every time. We saw them meet Adam West Batman, then we saw them meet Diedrich Bader Batman, and of course they met Kevin Conroy Batman. What I remember Brave and the Bold is how he learned that there was a Catman, as I thought Catman was created for Fairly Odd Parents. Nope, Catman is an official DC character by Adam West, and how he was voiced by Biff Tannen. Yeah, Thomas F. Wilson played Catman. He had a one-and-done appearance. He was actually a major villain in the Brave and the Bold video game. Catman was trying to seduce Catwoman so they could become the perfect villain power couple, but yeah, Catman was basically Selina's side piece. She was still thirsting for the Dark Knight. Well, WB does own both DC and Hanna-Barbera Library. Yeah, that's kind of why they met all the time. We'll see if Scooby and Batman are gonna meet again if Paramount did, in fact, buy Warner Brothers. But I think they will if they want money. Anyways, Brave and the Bold Ivy, she was okay. I do like her, wish she got a little more, but I'll put her on low A tier. Don't worry, there will be much better Ivies. But yeah, she'll be on Pretty Poison. Alright, next I'm gonna knock off a Poison Ivy I don't know. Batwheels Poison Ivy. Yes, this is Batwheels Poison Ivy, who is going on our first unknown specimen because I do not watch Batwheels. Yeah, sorry hardcore DC fans. Batwheels is not really my thing. It's a much more kid-friendly DC cartoon, and weirdly, they kind of made Poison Ivy look like a Winx Club character or a Miraculous Ladybug character. This is what she looks like in the Batwheels tune. It's a CGI show about the talking cars. Yeah, all the Bat Family vehicles and the villain vehicles are the true stars of the show. Poison Ivy's there, and never watched the show. That show needs to defeat Teen Titans Go. Also, I never saw Batwheels. Batman cars. If Paramount did have Warner Brothers, we need DC Superhero Girls back on the air. We should, but I doubt they will at this point. It's been like way too long since it's been off the air. You mentioned the Scooby-Doo one and how she was upset when, oh yeah, are you going to eat that salad? Yeah, Poison Ivy was offended that Scooby and Shaggy were eating salad. Because salads are plants. Yeah, they were about to eat a salad and it triggered Poison Ivy's rage. Alright, next we'll get off a terrible Poison Ivy. Teen Titans Go, Poison Ivy. Yeah, dead plant. Is there really any shock? Teen Titans Go sucks. Most of the DC characters on Teen Titans Go do not do anything. Some of them do, but most of them are just cameos. They're like there in the background, and lo and behold, Poison Ivy is there. She got like one episode. I think Courtney Taylor voiced her, that's what Wikipedia said, but I have stopped watching Teen Titans Go long ago because the show sucks. Yeah, going on dead plant. Rumor has it that Adam West voiced this show, but he was dead. Probably got a recording of him before he passed away, but yeah. Alright, next, we'll do another cartoon Poison Ivy. Let's bump off Justice League Action Poison Ivy, who is going on to Pretty Poison. Almost S tier, but once again, this Ivy doesn't have too much focus. Justice League Action, highly unrated show. I strongly recommend it. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm came back to do a much more lighthearted Justice League show, and Poison Ivy's in it with that weird French hat shaped like a leaf added to her design. Honestly, this Poison Ivy is pretty fun. She captures a lot of the spirit of Diane Pershing's Poison Ivy. She's funny, she's a seductress, she controls plants, and honestly, she had some pretty underrated episodes. My favorite being Poison Ivy tries to seduce and marry Swamp Thing. Yes, that is an actual episode in this show. Poison Ivy mind controls Swamp Thing and wants to marry him, becoming the ultimate plant couple of the world. And Poison Ivy is using Swamp Thing because with his powers, she can finally make a world ruled by plants. An entire city is basically taken over by plants. Harley Quinn is passing out like wedding invites / firework bombs to advertise the wedding. Harley Quinn and Ivy are working together. Ivy is getting her big, epic dream wedding with Swamp Thing planned while the Justice League try to stop them. We see Batman, Firestorm, Superman, Swamp Thing, Vixen, I believe, is in this episode. Vixen and Zatanna take down Harley Quinn. They defeat Ivy by throwing like this serum that blocks out her powers. They literally throw Weed Killer on Ivy, and Swamp Thing snaps out of it, comes back to his senses, and dumps the broad. Justice League Action, the non-Teen Titans Go show, that's actually funny. Yeah, it actually is, and they actually got Kevin Conroy to come back. Justice League Action is kind of a love letter slash better tribute towards the DCAU, because a lot of the famous voices who played the characters came back. Kevin Conroy's back as Batman. They got Gilbert Gottfried back as Mr. Mixius Pitlick. Mark Hamill is the Joker again. I do love some of the new cast members though. James Woods is actually pretty great as Lex Luthor, not gonna lie. And Lacey Chabert came back as Zatanna. I really love Zatanna, so of course that really wowed me. Though Wonder Woman's design looked too anime to me. I didn't watch that show anymore after the god-awful Return to Slade aired. Yeah, that Ivy can get fertilized. Yeah, Teen Titans Go Ivy sucks. So, Ivy got also more appearances in the shorts. If you're curious, Justice League Action does have shorts online. Highly recommend them. Ivy got two of the funniest. She and a Harley Quinn hijack one of the Justice League javelins and go on a basically road trip together, are rampaging across the city until Batman fights them, and he doesn't take them down. The Justice League stop them from crashing, and Harley and Ivy get comically humiliated. Then Poison Ivy seduces Batman to make him her trophy husband and try to escape from prison, where, out of all the characters to stop her, Plastic Man saves the day. Yeah, Plastic Man defeats Poison Ivy and mind-controlled Batman, kind of showing you that Plastic Man may be an idiot, but he's also a badass hero. He defeats brainwashed Batman and Poison Ivy, recapturing her, sending her back to prison, and yeah, pretty funny. I do like how Justice League Action makes Ivy much more crazy, like a yandere. Ivy wants to collect trophy husbands in this show. She's like seducing a bunch of alpha males and Giga Chad she wants. She tries to get Swamp Thing, tries to get Batman, tries to even get Superman, only to be comically foiled every time. Honestly, a pretty underrated Ivy. Yeah, this is kind of a clone of the animated series Poison Ivies, kind of in that same spirit, but a pretty good one. I'll put her on Pretty Poison. I just remember in the animated series that instead of Arkham, Poison Ivy was in a real prison in her first appearance. Yeah, she was. Alright, let's move on. Got a lot of interesting Ivies on here. I guess next we'll knock off a more... I think we should knock off a terrible Ivy soon. Let's do Batwoman Poison Ivy. Who is not Poison Ivy? It's Poison Mary. Yeah, shocker, going on to Dead Plant. Poison Ivy is on the CW's Batwoman. And if you never heard of the show or missed out on it, don't worry, you're not missing much because all their characters sucked. So, Ivy is built up in I believe the second or third season of Batwoman. This was after Kate Kane was fired and they got the black chick, Renona Wilder or something like that. I don't care. I don't care about Batwoman. But yeah, we got the black Batwoman being her replacement, and one of her best friends accidentally touches a sample of Poison Ivy's vines, where, I kid you not, the vine wraps around and possesses her. So, this isn't Pamela Isley. This is Batwoman's friend, Mary Hamilton, the daughter of Mayor Hamilton. Yeah, this show is really reaching for characters. She was Batwoman's best friend until she becomes corrupted and becomes Poison Mary. Poison Mary. Yeah, this is Ivy, and they made an Asian woman Poison Ivy in the show. Honestly, I didn't really mind it all that much, but they kept pointing out that this was not Pamela Isley, which got annoying. She becomes a vessel of the real Poison Ivy. Poison Mary is being possessed by the real Ivy, who is locked away in prison, and using her to complete her villainous plans of using plants to take over Gotham City. Poison Mary has a quote-unquote dramatic emotional fight against Batwoman, and they try to make her kind of like Harry Osborn, best friend turned supervillain. It does not work. She sucks. It is very cringe. I like the design of this Ivy, but they constantly remind us this is not the real Ivy. She's a successor, a legacy character carrying on Poison Ivy's legacy, and yeah, those are really, really hard to make good. She is basically the arc villain until the end where she releases the real Poison Ivy. Yes, Pamela does appear in this show, and this is her also going on to Dead Plant, because she is somehow worse than her stand-in Poison Ivy. It turns out, Pamela Isley, I kid you not, is trapped in a cryopod, frozen forever, by her ex-girlfriend, Renee Montoya. Pamela and Renee were a lesbian couple who dated until Renee realized that Pamela Isley was Poison Ivy, so she arrested her and locked her in a cryotube, which Poison Mary breaks open, revealing the real Poison Ivy here stepping out and basically taking back the powers from her conduit. Yeah, after all of this, Poison Mary loses her powers and Poison Ivy regains them, where she carries on her plans for like 2 episodes and she gets her ass kicked by replacement Batwoman. Yeah, fail. They made her look like Poison Ivy, which is good, but she doesn't appear until the end and she loses to CW Batwoman. That is god-awful. Dead Plant, easily 2 of the worst Ivies. I am here to fulfill Poison Ivy's destiny, lol. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. They teased that the real Ivy was controlling Poison Mary the entire time, but it is not written well because it's a CW show. And trash. Thank God I didn't watch that CW show because I know it's gonna be bad. It was. Yeah, so Poison Mary is basically possessed by the real Ivy, and as soon as they let her go, completely and unrealistically pardoned for all the crimes she committed as the replacement Ivy. Yeah, that's god-awful writing. She should be serving prison time for what she did. But yeah, real Ivy captured and defeated and locked back in her cryo-sleep. Yeah, the Adam West show never used Arkham either. The villains always went to the unnamed city or state penitentiary. Yeah, it was kind of an unnamed prison. They weren't like too deep into the lore on the Adam West show to make it easier for kids to watch. Yeah, it was trash. Stop. Afternoon, Cat. How are you? Hey, Saga, I'm doing good. Getting into our groove with Poison Ivy, ending on the Batwoman Poison Ivy pair, who are both god-awful. Do not watch Batwoman. It is one of the worst shows ever. It is so tragic to see the CW used to be so good. Arrow seasons 1 and 2 were great, and The Flash started out so fun. And the last show in the CW-verse was Batwoman, which was one of the worst shows in the series. Do Uma Thurman next? Okay. Just finished watching an episode of Metabots while having lunch. Okay. Glad you can make it then, Saga. Got a lot of Ivies to work with still. Anyways, CW, Batwoman, Poison Ivies, both of them suck. Dead Plant. Alright. I'll help you grab your rocks. Let's do Uma Thurman Poison Ivy. Yep, it's time. Let's do currently Poison Ivy's only feature film live-action actress, Uma Thurman from Batman and Robin. Alright, so Batman and Robin, still a terrible movie. I do not like it. I will say it is definitely so bad it's good, and believe it or not, one of the highlights people praise about the movie is Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy. 1, she is a lot more tolerable than Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, and 2, they actually got her character right for the most part, so a step up over Bane. turkey sandwich on jalapeno bread with crushed spicy Doritos and sliced pickles, with a drink of Kool-Aid, Sharkberry Fin. Nice. A bad credit card? Okay, so I have kind of mixed feelings about Uma Thurman Poison Ivy. One, I do think Uma Thurman is actually funny. She is definitely having the time of her life in this role. However, Ivy is also kind of campy, goofy, and over the top. Granted, much funnier than Mr. Freeze by far, but I was hoping for a more dead serious, creepy Poison Ivy like we've been getting in the friggin' cartoons. Oh, Batman and Robin, you're such a bad cinematic mess. Ice pun. Poison Ivy gives a lot more plant and sex puns, which are definitely much funnier because it's supposed to be a family picture, but pretty entertaining. So, Uma Thurman absolutely looks the part, acts the part, definitely has fun, and to Joel Schumacher's credit, he actually did make Ivy comic accurate, especially compared to Bane and Mr. Freeze. Poison Ivy actually starts out as a loser nerd girl. Yeah, for the third film in a row, we have a Batman villain who's this loser nerd who's put down by everyone. Ivy works at Wayne Industries' South America company. So to Schumacher's credit, he actually does do Poison Ivy's actual origin. Pamela Isley is working under Dr. Jason Woodrue, the future Floronic Man. She finds out her plant studies and test subjects are being used by him for global domination. She catches Dr. Woodrue using venom to create Bane. However, Woodrue is not good with rejection. Ivy doesn't want to join him, so I'm afraid you're going to have to die. He shoves her into a bunch of chemicals, tries to silence Dr. Isley. However, her plant mutagens accidentally mutate her into the sexy bombshell Poison Ivy. Hell, I am Mother Nature. Poison Ivy is reborn and completely irresistible to every man. Yeah, Poison Ivy has her Trakina beauty. All the guys love her, all the guys drool for her, act like idiots around her, and are so distracted by the sexy that Poison Ivy pretty much gets the kill easily on a lot of people. Ivy, in a really cool scene, rises out of a plant, reborn, and Uma Thurman gets to show off how hot she is, where she kills Dr. Woodrue because her lips have venom. Yep, Joel Schumacher introduces the Death Kiss, pretty much Poison Ivy's iconic weapon. Whoever Ivy kisses pretty much dies instantly because she has poisonous lips. Poison Ivy kills Dr. Woodrue, realizes that with her new powers, she can rise as a better supervillain, where she goes back to Gotham to get revenge on Wayne Industries. Kinda blaming Bruce Wayne unjustifiably for everything that's happened, but yeah, Ivy seduces Bane into helping her. They fly to Gotham in the most god-awful disguise ever, where Poison Ivy slowly rises up as the new supervillain in Gotham City. So, as I mentioned, they kind of did the nerd character becomes a badass villain 3 times now. We've had Poison Ivy, we've had Jim Carrey's Edward Nygma, the Riddler, was also loser nerd, became a badass villain, and Michelle Pfeiffer, Selena Kyle, was a loser nerd, became a sexy badass villain. It's kind of funny that we did this exact same type of character 3 times in a row, but I'll give credit, it fits for Poison Ivy because that's kind of what she was like. Ivy was a loser nerd, then she became the hottest supervillainess ever. Ivy goes to Gotham, and she slowly rises up as a villain. She takes over a bathhouse, turns it into her plant area, works with Bane, and then we get to the part that fans really, really don't like. Ivy falls in love with Mr. Freeze. Yes, you heard that right. Ivy falls for Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze because, get this, he's the only guy who can resist her. Yes, Ivy is that girl who wants a guy who doesn't want her. Ivy falls for Mr. Freeze because he can't fall for her pheromones. He always wears his super ice armor and helmet. He can't smell her. He is basically cold-blooded towards Ivy, and Ivy wants to hit that. Ivy wants to get with Mr. Freeze and decides to form a villain alliance with him. Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze share the main villain slot in this movie. Ivy is clearly the brains behind the plan because Victor is a dumbass in this movie. No, I love her in Kill Bill 1 and 2. I think that's kind of what the energy they were aiming for Ivy. Uma Thurman, if you don't know, is the bride from Kill Bill. Pretty badass, sexy character. So of course she should have been a badass, sexy character in Batman and Robin. I do like a few of her designs, but unfortunately Joel Schumacher made the bizarre choice to give Ivy a variety of villainous outfits. I do not like that Poison Ivy keeps changing her outfit every few minutes. Poison Ivy gets an alternate costume, and the one I do love the most is when she shows up at the Bachelor bidding party, because lo and behold, Schumacher actually got an outfit that looks like Poison Ivy. Yeah, remember that scene where Poison Ivy infiltrates a Bachelor auction, and she does a sexy striptease out of her furry gorilla suit? In that one moment, a million fetishes were born. It's so weird, but yeah, pretty hot. We see Uma Thurman strip off her monkey suit in a PG striptease scene. She's like dressed up as like a gorilla or something with Bane, and she seduces the entire crowd doing the Poison Ivy seduction dance, takes off like a few of her furry outfit, and you see, oh my gosh, it's that sexy plant lady, Poison Ivy. And Ivy seduces Batman and Robin, leading to one of the big plots. Batman and Robin are fighting over Poison Ivy. Now, to be fair, this was based on a comic. I know it's a silly Golden Age comic, but it did happen. Schumacher based this on a comic where Poison Ivy caused a love triangle between the Dark Knight and the Boy Wonder. Batman and Robin are fighting, and Poison Ivy adds fuel to the fire. Batman and Robin are both jelly and fighting over who gets to be Ivy, where, of course, you get that Bat credit card scene because they both try to buy her. It's honestly kind of funny. Honestly, like, they keep, like, trying to outbid each other. Batman and Robin are saying, I'll buy her $1 million. You don't have the money. $2 million. I'll get it from you. $3 million. And Batman whips out the Bat credit card. Yeah, Batman tried to buy Poison Ivy because he's that into her. I also do kind of like Poison Ivy's weird green jumpsuit. They give her kind of a Catwoman suit, but it's green because it fits Poison Ivy. I do like it, though her hairstyle looks pretty goofy. Joel Schumacher tried to justify Ivy's outfit change and the different hairstyles because she's supposed to be blossoming into a great, beautiful flower all throughout the movie. Interesting idea, Joel, but a really sloppy execution. Especially her final outfit, I think, is her worst. Ivy in that weird red outfit kind of looks like a drag queen, honestly. Uma Thurman has that big-ass puffy flower hair. Again, kind of like the Batman's Ivy. It looks like a rose kind of hairstyle. But, man, does it look doofy. It doesn't work on the cold-hearted. Exactly, John Smith. They ruined Bane in this film. They did. If you saw my Bane tier list, Schumacher's Bane did not make it very high either. Uma as the bride would chop this Ivy up. Absolutely. So, Uma Thurman was an ideal choice for Poison Ivy, and I do think, exactly like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they could have been great versions of this character if they took it seriously. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, if he brought his Terminator or Commando game to Mr. Freeze, make him a serious evil Iceman, it would have been awesome. And if Uma Thurman played a dead serious Poison Ivy, I think she would have knocked it out of the park. Ivy who's creepy, badass, and cold-blooded like Victor is, that would have been awesome. Unfortunately, they go for more campy, over-the-top, Adam West-style vibes, and I think Poison Ivy does far better, way more than Arnold does, but yeah, it is kind of weird. So as I said, Ivy and Victor have a villain alliance, and it leads to probably the most hilarious karma. Victor is not into Poison Ivy, he has Nora, his wife. Ivy goes to great lengths to break Victor out of Arkham Asylum. They work together, and Ivy wants Victor all to herself, and in pretty much her most evil moment, Ivy tries to kill Nora. Nora Freeze is hooked up to her cryotube like the animated series. Again, I do like that Joel was clearly a fan of the animated series, but a lot of stuff was not interpreted very well onto the big screen. Yeah, Victor still has the dying wife in this movie, and Ivy pulls the plug on Nora's cryotube, leaving her for dead, and steals her snowflake necklace, saying, "Oh, Batman killed her. Batman killed your wife. You lie," and shows Victor the loving necklace he gave poor Nora. Victor loses everything, loses his chill, and decides he wants to help Ivy destroy all life. Yep, this is the straw that broke Victor's sanity. Mr. Freeze and Ivy decide to take over the world. Of course, Ivy and Victor work together to make the planet half plant and half ice age. And yeah, if you know your science very well, this plan is completely stupid and should not work. Kind of, Ivy and Victor have two contradicting goals. This villain alliance does not work as well as the Riddler and Two-Face, because the Riddler and Two-Face had a lot more in common. Here, Mr. Freeze and Ivy have completely polar opposite end goals. Victor wants to kill all life and bathe the world in ice, while Ivy wants to bathe the world in a new plant renaissance and plant her weird snake piranha plant things. Yeah, these Muppet things looked doofy back then too. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like Uma Thurman is treating them like her babies, and she has these cool like jars holding these lizard velociraptor plant things. It's pretty silly, but I kind of wish they did do more with this plan. Ivy's gonna plant these things to make a new era of plant life. They'll be Adam and evil. And ultimately, Poison Ivy kind of got the short end of the stick in the finale of this movie. Ultimately, Ivy decides to kill Batman and Robin. She seduces them. I do like that Batman and Robin are fighting over her in the ice cream factory. Like, no beauty, just the beast. And they fight Bane while Ivy tries to sex them up. Why is it that the homicidal ones are gorgeous? Is it the suit? Right? George Clooney had like one funny line in this movie. I met the guy that played Dr. Woodrue, by the way. I was on a trip to New York and he was in a Broadway show. Oh, you met John Glover. Yeah, he shows up in DC a lot. John Glover always plays some bit character, or a major one if you watch Smallville. Yeah, John Glover played the Riddler in Batman the Animated Series, he played friggin' Lionel Luthor in Smallville, and he played Dr. Savannah's abusive dad in the Shazam movie. That guy loves appearing in superhero stuff. I'm sorry I gotta do this, since you mentioned Batman and Robin. A bad credit card! Yeah, nostalgia critic, pretty funny. I know everybody's tired of the stupid meme, though watch Linkara's review of Batman and Robin. He killed the Bat credit card gag. Critic, go wait in the corner. Okay. Yeah, Bane was done dirty in this movie. Is there even a real Bat credit card? I'm sure they sell the prop somewhere. You could probably buy your own prop of the Bat credit card, or like a designer custom-made one. I think they do kind of sell it, but probably not as much anymore because Batman and Robin's now outdated. After that, I watched Pokemon Horizon Season 1, then Transformers Armada, Energon, Robots in Disguise 2001, and Beast Wars, the second one. Oh, you mean Beast Machines? Oh, no, Beast Wars after. Alright. You just called me Ivy. Who's Ivy? I've seen Batman and Robin several times. No, he didn't. So he put two drama actors in a comedy. Yeah, that's what Schumacher did. To Schumacher's credit, he did play things kind of smart. He chose like a bunch of big name stars to play Batman characters, which a lot of people do love. Unfortunately, this was not the type of movie people wanted to see them in. Poison Ivy feels a lot more like an Adam West villain than her traditional counterparts. Uma Thurman clearly took more inspiration from Julie Newmar's Catwoman when she should have used Diane Pershing's Poison Ivy, where she's very seductive, she could show a wide variety of emotions, but at the end of the day be a dead serious threat towards people. Yeah, I really don't know how that would work. Yeah, half the world is ice, half the world is plants. Eventually one of these is going to interfere with the other. Ever since I watched that Nostalgia Critic meme, it never makes me feel tired to me. Well, it is if you watch it on loop. This could have worked in the last live action Arnold played the straight guy in a comedy. Oh, the anime Beast Wars. Okay. Also on March 23rd will be the 19th anniversary of Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea movie. Alright, cool. Trying to get Wolf to review Pokemon movies, but he's still handling other things. So, as I said, Ivy kind of gets the short end of the stick in this movie. She is trying to take out Batman and Robin, but it's a lot more comedic than intended. She seduces Robin successfully, and Robin decides he's going out on his own. Ivy and Bane steal the bat signal and turn it into a Robin signal. Yeah, Robin has a logo, and weirdly it's not a giant R, but yeah, it's like a red bird. She makes a Robin signal to seduce Robin. Robin completely falls for it, however he does start listening to Batman and Batgirl more, realizes that they might have a point. Robin is seduced by Ivy. She shows up in that cool flower bed. Unfortunately, it's her worst outfit. I do not like the red jacket and that weird Wildvine hair. Ivy shows up in her come hither outfit, seduces Robin, tries to kill him with a kiss, but rubber lips sink ships. Yeah, Dick listened to his Bat family after all. He wore like fake rubber lips. Why Ivy doesn't kiss him a second time after he took them off, I'll never know. But Ivy reveals she's a full bitch, tries to drown Robin, like feed him to the vines. Batman shows up, tries to save the day. Where we get to the iconic moment everybody loves about Batman and Robin. Batgirl shows up for the first time to save the day, where we get a sexy cat fight between Poison Ivy and Batgirl. Alicia Silverstone shows up in her sexy leather outfit, and fistfights with Poison Ivy in a girl-cat fight, where Ivy is like weirdly defeated. She's eaten by her own plant. Yeah, you heard that right. Ivy is kicked into her flower bed and her own plant eats her. And that's kind of how she's defeated. She's like not like digested or anything. The plant like just traps her halfway inside its mouth. And yeah, that's the end. Poison Ivy goes out like a punk, losing to an inexperienced Batgirl. Definitely points not in her favor. But at the end of the movie, they defeat Mr. Freeze, reveal that Victor was played by Pamela, that he was duped into being her minion, and she was the one who killed Nora. However, haha, Nora's alive because Batman saved her off screen. Why? So we could have this dumb emotional twist. Yeah, Batman saved Nora. He pleads with Victor to turn over New Leaf and help people. Victor gives him the cure for McGregor syndrome, and finally gets his revenge on Poison Ivy. The movie actually kind of ends on a pretty creepy note where Victor shows up in prison back in his full power armor, telling Poison Ivy that winter is coming early. And yeah, it ends on a kind of a dark ending for Ivy. Ivy's in prison, defeated, asking like a flower if Victor still loves her. Victor tells her, nope, it's over, and it's implied he kills her. It's like the one time Arnold actually gets to be scary as Mr. Freeze, and they save it for like the last 5 minutes. But yeah, Poison Ivy died in Arkham Asylum, very likely at the hands of Victor. Alright, so I do have fun watching Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Once again, she is pretty hot. She's a pretty fun villain. She does have her fun one-liners. I'll help you grab your rocks. Yeah, pretty funny stuff. Unfortunately, Ivy also got nerfed, but she came out the best out of all the villains. Ivy is definitely leagues above Mr. Freeze and Bane especially. Unfortunately, she did kind of lose points because she also has her lame moments. I think I might put her on our first Wallflower. No, I was talking about the last action hero movie. Oh, the movie in the 80s. Sorry for the typo. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Critic reviewed that one too. And on March 30th will be the 36th anniversary of the 1990 live-action TMNT movie. Awesome. It's a new 52 Nightwing. Yeah. Alright, so to wrap up, I think Uma Thurman, I'm gonna put onto Wallflower. There are moments I do like with her. Uma Thurman is definitely having fun as this character. Has a lot of great scenes, honestly. They do make her hot, so she does get that right about Poison Ivy. And I do like a few of her outfits. I love the one she shows up at the party where she's undressing as her monkey outfit, mostly because it looked like her comic suit. I do love the green spandex she wears during the fight at the ice cream factory. That was pretty cool. Unfortunately, she also has some really bad outfits that made Ivy look really weird. But yeah, Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin honestly is pretty alright. Not one of my favorite Ivies. I know a lot of people will fight me that she was the best part of the film. I won't deny that, but this Ivy definitely left a lot to be desired, and some mistakes were made, like making her fall in love with Victor Freeze of all people. And her final fight was weirdly anticlimactic. They gave Mr. Freeze a more epic battle than Poison Ivy. She should have had a much bigger plant-style fight. But yeah, I'm gonna put her onto Wallflower. This Poison Ivy, definitely a silver medal to me. Not the worst ever, but definitely underrated. We'll put her onto Wallflower, right smack in the middle. Alright guys, I gotta use my first restroom break, but tell me who you guys want to see done next. Which Poison Ivy should we rank next on this tier list? I'll be right back. Cast your vote down low or in the chat. You cannot defeat Mother Nature. Alright, I'm back. Let's see who you guys voted for. Do Ivy from Gotham. She's the last live-action Ivy. Let's do the most interesting on here, the Gotham versions. Alright, got all three of them. Yeah, there's 3 technical ones throughout the series. Well, same character, but different actresses. Yeah, so I hope people don't mind. I did count all 3 actresses from Gotham. Gotham is a pretty great show, has a lot of interesting interpretations and a lot of great adaptations of Batman storylines. And of course, Poison Ivy made her way onto the show. Ivy, no joke, was played by 3 actresses. Yes, 3 actresses. We got Little Girl Ivy, Maggie Gia Ivy, and Peyton List Ivy. All 3 are on here because Poison Ivy was one of the characters the show really struggled with. Yeah, exactly like Batman and Robin, Gotham's 2 weakest villains are Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. Sorry, choked on my words there. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about how Gotham depicted Poison Ivy. She goes through 3 phases of her life. Each actress played Ivy rather differently, and we'll go over all of them. Let's start with Little Girl Ivy Pepper. The little girl, honestly, going on to Wallflower also. Yeah, sorry folks, but I thought this one was fine. Ivy is actually there in the pilot. Ivy Pepper is this antisocial, creepy little girl, has an abusive father. Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock are on their first case together, and their investigation leads them to Ivy's father. Ivy's father is a domestic abuser and a thug who works for the mob. They chase after Mr. Pepper, he runs for his life, abandons his family, and he ends up gunned down by Harvey Bullock, leaving Ivy completely fatherless. And they kind of keep it vague if Ivy actually cared about her abusive dad or not. She is a dick towards the police and doesn't trust the GCPD anymore, but that could also be attributed to the GCPD is still corrupt in this show. Yeah, she calls Gordon and Bullock bastards, hangs out in the back, is always watering her plants, is walking around the city of Gotham with a wagon full of little flowers. Acting kind of sus, honestly. We find out Ivy Pepper is actually one of the few friends of Selina Kyle. Selina Kyle, much cooler on Gotham, really liked her. Selina Kyle is the cool bad girl, while Ivy is her weird best friend. Ivy is kind of unkempt, very creepy, loves talking to her plants. Selina is the only friend she ever had, and they kind of bring out the best in each other. Unfortunately, the writers got bored with writing Ivy as a little girl, so they aged her up into an adult woman child. Yeah, we'll get to Maggie real soon, but the little girl Ivy, I almost like her, but there was something really missing from her. I think we needed to learn more about little girl Ivy's home life, who she is, what kind of life she had. Her dad was a terrible person, ended up killed in the pilot. She kind of keeps it unclear if she feels sorry for his death or is glad he's gone. It was kind of messy. Season 1 of Gotham did not find its footing yet. Until the finale, of course, but Season 1 of Gotham is the messiest, I would argue, next to the final season. Ivy is kind of friends with Selina Kyle, acts weird and creepy, shows a sympathetic and good side at times, but they were kind of unclear of what they wanted to do with her, and Ivy's mom apparently committed suicide off screen, so Ivy's now an orphan. I think she still lives in the apartment because nobody cares to check up on her, but yeah, Ivy's mom is out of the picture, kills herself, and Ivy is working with Selina Kyle on any of her capers, showing up from time to time. She helps give intel to Bruce at one point, but didn't really do much as a little girl. Unfortunately, Ivy is accidentally roped into one of Selina's cases. Selina is working with Fish Mooney and her gang of metahumans. Fish Mooney escaped from Arkham Asylum, where Hugo Strange was creating super soldiers. These are prototype metahumans, and one guy has the power to kill people by rapidly aging them. He tries to kill Ivy because Ivy accidentally walks in on and sticks her nose in their business, almost kills Ivy, but he tries to rapidly age Ivy to death, turning her into an adult until Selina saves her, but Ivy falls down into a sewer line and out a drain, coming out as adult Ivy here, and that's the end of little girl Ivy. Honestly, she's kind of a weak character. There are parts where I do like her and wanted to know more, but the show kind of got bored with writing her as a child, so they turned her into Maggie Gia. And Maggie Gia Ivy is, I kid you not, a woman-child version of Poison Ivy. She's physically a sexy adult, but still has the mind of her child form. Yeah, there were a lot of split opinions about this, and Maggie Gia's performance as a bimbo Ivy did not win me over. I'm putting her on needs water. Yeah, I agree, Kid Ivy, I would call her, it was just fine. Exactly. What's your opinion on the episode of Batman the Animated Series where they debut Bane when Batman breaks his Venom tube and he says, "You can't defeat me, I am invincible, I am Bane"? That episode honestly was pretty fun. I was not into the voice they used for Bane on that episode, but I thought overall as a story, definitely one of the fun episodes. Let's trash Harley Quinn Ivy, next time. Okay, so Maggie Gia becomes the new Poison Ivy, and yeah, this was kind of an uncomfortable concept. They tried to make Poison Ivy hot and sexy. She's becoming a seductress. This Ivy is a gold digger. A lot of guys are fawning over her, asking her out, but she has the mind and maturity of her child form. Ivy becomes kind of this girly girl. She's a bimbo Poison Ivy, acts like a kid, and it's kind of a joke character. Ivy is seducing men, taking their money, letting them buy her nice things. Ivy actually unlocks her pheromone powers here. She blows kisses, makes men forgive her, makes them bow before her. Ivy is slowly but surely developing her powers. Unfortunately, they keep reminding you that she's a child, and it gets kind of uncomfortable at times. They want to do the Shazam thing, you know how Zachary Levi is acting like a child, but really, it's because he is like a 10-year-old boy underneath his adult form. They wanted to do that with Poison Ivy, and I was really mixed on this Ivy. There were parts where I did not like her. Ivy saves the Penguin off screen. Yeah, it's never explained how, but Penguin was shot and killed by the Riddler, and at some point, Poison Ivy saved him and used her plant magic to revive him. How? Never explained. It is never explained, and Poison Ivy helps Oswald get his groove back, convinces him to become a supervillain, and Oswald gets revenge on his enemies. Poison Ivy is like his right-hand woman, and I guess side piece, which, again, kind of uncomfortable when you're reminded she's a child. But yeah, Poison Ivy is gaining new powers. I believe Peyton List Ivy is the one everybody likes to think of because she was much better. Ivy undergoes a metamorphosis and forms into her true final form, Peyton List, down here. But Maggie Gia's Ivy, she had her moments and she does look like the character, but the weird age up thing and the fact that she kept acting like a little girl was really creepy and unsettling, and not for the right moments. I'm gonna put her onto Needs Water. Wish this Ivy had better potential. The actress doesn't do that bad of a job acting-wise, but the direction they went with was weird. Absolutely, that sums it up perfectly, Shadow. Yeah, in my opinion, I almost felt sorry for Bane because the Venom drug was too much for him to handle. Yeah, it was, but again, Bane also beat up Killer Croc. He kind of deserved it. And if Batman didn't unplug his Venom tube in time, Bane would have died of an overdose. Yeah, he would have. Alright, let's get to the good one you all like, Peyton List. So, Maggie Gia's Ivy undergoes a second mutation, and she becomes like a weird chrysalis plant cocoon thing, where she turns into her final form, Peyton List, where Ivy is reborn and no longer a stupid idiot. She now reaches full maturity. They age her up mentally and make her a grown woman. And yes, this was the writers kind of trying to write away the mistakes of the last two Ivies, where Peyton List becomes Poison Ivy, and she was easily the best one, so I'm gonna put her onto Pretty Poison. Yeah, I might put her under Justice League Action Ivy, honestly. That one was pretty fun. Okay, so Peyton List is absolutely Ivy. This is the Ivy we all know and love, the one we think of. Peyton List's Ivy is pretty much the real Poison Ivy. She's dark, she's hot, she's intelligent, she is a danger to Gotham City, and at one point almost succeeds in her villain plans. So, Peyton List seduces and nearly kills Bruce Wayne in her first appearance. Bruce ends up being saved by his friends Alfred, Selina Kyle, and Commissioner Gordon. She takes Wayne Industries as keycard so she can destroy the city with a nuclear bomb to pave the way for her plant life. They work together, they stop and foil Poison Ivy. Then, once Gotham becomes a no man's land, Ivy kind of disappears. Yeah, Ivy had a really cool plot where she took over Wayne Industries, almost destroys the city, ends up losing. Bruce and Selina work together, and Bruce finally unlocks some of his Batman skills once they beat Poison Ivy. Ivy ends up shot but getting away, where we wouldn't see her again until No Man's Land. And I did like the start of this arc, but it kind of lost itself as the season went on. A lot of stuff was rushed, a lot of stuff was cut, and the show clearly needed more time to fully develop some of its plots. Ivy goes missing, and we find out she's been hiding in this building where a bunch of old school, like, angry villagers from a horror movie have trapped her inside. They, like, spread salt around the building because it foils her magic plants. Ivy is hiding inside like a bunker. Bruce needs her because Selena ends up shot by Jeremiah Joker. Yeah, I know we have a lot to say on that guy once we do that tier list, but yeah, Jeremiah Joker shot and crippled Selena, and Bruce turns to Poison Ivy begging her for help, where Poison Ivy has a special plant that can apparently cure paraplegics. Yeah, Ivy has like this magic seed, warns Bruce that it will corrupt Selena, but he does it anyway so Selena can walk again. Bruce and Ivy work together, and Ivy kind of becomes a anti-villain frenemy towards Bruce. She has some respect for him after how much he's done for her and foiled her schemes, but is ultimately not a best friend still. She's still gonna be Poison Ivy in the future. And that's kind of the last time we ever see Poison Ivy. She slinks away into the shadows, and Bruce uses the magic seed to help cure Selena. Selena can walk and move again, but in our twist ending, we see she's part cat. Dun dun dun! Yeah, Selena becomes Halle Berry Catwoman. She gains like cat eyes, and this arc goes absolutely nowhere. Yeah, they do all that setup, and it's very clear it was cut for time. They were clearly planning a Poison Ivy Selena reunion. Unfortunately, the season got cut in half, but Peyton List honestly does a much better job. I would say she was the strongest Ivy of them all. The show had a huge struggle of how they wanted to depict Poison Ivy. As you can see, frequently changed her actress, frequently changed her direction, but the final one, they finally got it right. Peyton List looked like Ivy, acted like Ivy, dressed a lot more like Ivy, and had a lot more Poison Ivy-like schemes, so I think she succeeded the most. When I first saw the name Peyton List in the title, I assumed it was the Peyton List from Jessie. Weird that there are two actresses with that same name. Yeah, that's kind of funny, and both Peyton List would actually star in the Batman Hush movie. Here she goes full-on villain, and they did a good job with her, despite being on a few episodes. Yeah, that's the only reason why she's not on to S. Poison Ivy kind of awkwardly disappears, and I wish they did more with her, because Peyton List absolutely knocked it out of the park. Yeah, I'll put her on to Pretty Poison. It took Gotham a while, but eventually they finally got a good Poison Ivy. She is definitely the A-tier one, and the best one of the Gotham series. Going on to Pretty Poison. Speaking of which, believe it or not, Peyton List would play Poison Ivy again on Batman Hush. Yes, it finally happened. We had a Gotham actor transition into playing their character on another DC story. Peyton List came back as Poison Ivy on Batman Hush, and she is going on to S tier. Yep, Poison Ivy is in the New 52 movies, making her debut on Batman Hush, and man, it was so amazing seeing one of the Gotham actors play their character in an animated movie. Yeah, Peyton List became a voice actress for Poison Ivy again, being a guest star on the Hush movie. Now, there are some people who don't like the film, but I love Batman Hush. I think it is a very fun, kick-ass movie. Yes, it does change a lot. That was great about the comic, but honestly, I was not disappointed by what we got. Poison Ivy fulfills her role in the comic. Ivy is hired by Hush to kill Batman and Superman. Ivy gets kryptonite lipstick to help plant a hypnotic kiss on the Man of Steel. Ivy hypnotizes Catwoman and Bane into being her minions, and eventually the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Ivy seduces Superman with kryptonite pheromones. She makes like this green kryptonite lipstick, puts it on her lips, and lo and behold, Clark Kent becomes her complete submissive minion. In that case, maybe Cameron Monaghan should voice act the Joker too. Absolutely. We should get Cameron Monaghan to become the new Joker actor once Mark Hamill's out. Yeah, Roger Craig Smith should be the new Batman. Cameron Monaghan should be the new age Joker. Okay, so yeah. Peyton List from Gotham is this version of Ivy, and I do really like her character here. Ivy is actually kind of this shallow valley girl, but she puts on like her nature goddess as an act. It's all an act. Poison Ivy acts like she's the cool nature goddess, acting like she's sophisticated, suave, and cool. Then we see her act completely breaks whenever she loses, revealing that Ivy is kind of a normal person. Like, she cusses, she swears, and freaks out when the Dark Knight and Catwoman one-up her. Also, this Ivy gets a hot lesbian kiss with Selina. Yep, that happens. Watch Batman Hush if you want to see it. Poison Ivy seduces Selina. Say it for me, kitty. Say perfect. Yeah, she kisses a mind control kiss on Selina, uses Catwoman to get to the Dark Knight, uses Bane for one of her schemes. Catwoman and Bane eventually break free from Ivy when she leaves town. Hush is employing her to terminate the Dark Knight and hurt his allies, namely Catwoman and Superman. Ivy goes to Metropolis, launches an attack on there, where Batman and Catwoman work together to beat up Poison Ivy. And yeah, it is pretty cool, pretty kick-ass, exactly like the comic. Oh, you got a new boy toy, kitty? Well, I have my own. And Superman comes in all badass and mesmerized. Clark and Bruce duke it out across Metropolis. Eventually, they break him free thanks to chucking Lois Lane off a building. Yeah, it happened in that way in the comics, too. Yeah, they break Superman free, where Superman, Batman, and Catwoman all triple team Ivy. She's defeated, and Ivy reveals that she's working for Hush. Ivy is basically the starter villain. She's the villainess for the first act of the movie, before revealing that Hush is our true final boss. And that's the end of this Ivy, but it was so great seeing Peyton List come in as Ivy and seeing her get to act as a pretty unique Ivy. Ivy pretends she's like this cool Mother Nature villain like her Arkhamverse counterpart, but really she's kind of a valley girl in real life when she's losing. Like, ow, not the hair, cat. Really liked it. Also, I've been getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, even figuring out how to play this game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is awesome. Love the first show. I never finished GX, and I did not watch any of the shows onward. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty fun game. Okay, so yeah, it was great seeing Peyton List come back as Ivy. Love the design, love her writing, love how they execute her, love that Ivy fulfills her comic role, honestly pretty accurately to the comic it's based on. And yeah, this Ivy, pretty fun. She even shares a hot kiss with Catwoman. Yep, going on to Mother Nature. Alright, next Poison Ivy. Somebody wanted us to knock off the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy, Lake Bell's Ivy, who is going on to Pretty Poison. Yeah, I'm still gonna think Justice League Action Ivy is better. This is the Harley Quinn show's Poison Ivy. She is the second main character of the show. Poison Ivy once again fulfills her role as best friend to Harley Quinn and eventual girlfriend, and Lake Bell is not my ideal voice for the character, but the writing definitely backs her up. This is a really hilarious Ivy. Ivy is the funniest character in Harley Quinn's gang. She's the straight woman to Harley's insanity, but Ivy also has a lot going on in her own life. The Harley Quinn show basically has a ensemble cast. Harley Quinn forms her own gang, and Poison Ivy is her partner. We see Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn become best friends, exactly like Harley and Ivy from the animated series, except much more raunchier and R-rated. Lake Bell, not my ideal voice for Ivy. Ivy sounds a lot more deeper and a lot more tomboyish. They kind of toned down her sex appeal on this show. Weirdly, Catwoman and Harley Quinn are hotter than Poison Ivy, but I'm fine with that. I do like that Poison Ivy doesn't consider herself a villain. She says, I'm not a villain, I'm an environmentalist. Yeah, that does kind of feel like something Ivy would see herself as. Ivy is an eco-terrorist. She does still do evil and villainous things. Her plant powers are really cool in this show, though Ivy is the straight woman to Harley Quinn and her gang's insanity. She's the normal one, despite being the super epic badass of their team. Really like that she tries to fit her villain moniker. We see Ivy slowly accept the role she has in her comics. She's becoming the traditional Ivy, but trying to hold on to herself. She is basically Harley Quinn's supportive best friend in season 1, realizes that Harley Quinn is the first human she cares about and considers a best friend, stands by Harley Quinn when they defeat the Joker together. Ivy is almost killed. Joker snipes her out with a harpoon and she dies only to be revived and looking like her classic comic form. Helps save Harley Quinn at the last second where they beat the Joker up together and save Gotham City. Season 2, she gets closer to Kite Man and wants to marry him. Kite Man was definitely a better lover than Harley Quinn ever was. But yeah, Harley and Ivy grow closer in season 2, where Ivy realizes that she's in love with Harley Quinn and not Kite Man. And this was kind of the point where I stopped watching the show because Harley Quinn ruins Kite Man and Ivy's wedding. Yeah, and this is why she's not on S tier. For really no good reason, Ivy thinks that Harley Quinn is her perfect match over her fiancé. Yeah, Kite Man, who's done so much good for her, actually showed that she could have a healthy relationship with a man, actually reaches out to her, changed himself for the better. Kite Man decides to cut off the wedding once it's interrupted by Harley and Commissioner Gordon's fight, where Ivy decides, you know what? You are the one for me, Harley. You're at least trying to change. Bitch, what the hell was Kite Man doing all season for you? Yeah, I did not like the wedding episode because they break up Kite Man and Poison Ivy, so Ivy can finally hook up with Harley Quinn. Then they become a psychotic killer lesbian couple in the future onward. Ivy becomes a villain again, tries to make a name for herself. Harley supports her for a change, and yeah, Ivy is kind of there, having lots of sex with Harley Quinn, and really kind of repeats the same character arc she had from season 1 and 2. Ivy learns to get in touch with humanity and better herself, and that's kind of her thing. More of the sarcastic, tough Ivy we got in DC. Yeah, I do find her funny. I will say Lake Bell has good comedic timing. Poison Ivy should have been the main character of the show. She's a lot funnier than Harley Quinn, is actually more sympathetic than Harley Quinn, is smarter than Harley Quinn, and is actually a pretty badass villain. Like, the Legion of Doom wanted to recruit Poison Ivy, but only got Harley Quinn as like a +1 because, yeah, they were more interested in Dr. Isley than they are in Harley. Poison Ivy tries to be a good friend for Harley Quinn. They fall in love, have lots of that steamy lesbian sex, but honestly, her breaking up with Kite Man still pisses me off. I know they're better off now, but man, it did not make sense at the time and still doesn't now. I'm gonna put her onto A tier. I've watched the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn show, and it was really funny. It was. I tried to get back into it. Season 3 just really rubs me the wrong way. Also, the Joker would not identify as a socialist. This is the same guy who burned money. That will be me. There's a trait I discovered in the show by certain fans that despite being the main lead of the show, Harley rarely seen barefoot, while Ivy's seen barefoot in most episodes. I'm just saying, you'd think Ivy would be barefoot because she wants to get in touch with nature and considers herself a plant, but they don't do that. They gave her that weird design. I'm not a fan of this Ivy design either. It kind of made her look too normal. She wears like a green leather jacket instead of, you know, any of her iconic suits, but we can't have Poison Ivy the seductress be sexy. No, that goes to Harley Quinn. Imagine how Kite Man felt when they learned that their son wasn't getting married and not having power to use their grandchildren. Yeah, Kite Man's parents can go F themselves. I hate those two. Speaking of which, my mom's making sloppy joes tonight. Ooh, yummy. Okay, so, like Bell's Poison Ivy, I almost put into S tier, but there's some moments where I really don't like her. Poison Ivy can sometimes be selfish, sometimes too much of a doormat, ironically, to Harley Quinn. And yeah, her breaking up with Kite Man still pisses me off and leaves a sour taste in my mouth. But at least she was kind of funny. Poison Ivy's the sane woman. She has a lot of good snarky jabs at the other character's expense, but that's always been a trait of Poison Ivy, let's be real. I'll still put her onto A tier. She is pretty poison. My favorite part of the show is when Harley returns to the Joker, when she asks her what the Wi-Fi password is and she burns his lair. Yeah, that was. Harley Quinn show looks like a Velma rejected. It became that, but the Harley Quinn show was funny at first. It was unironically good. Yeah, I think season 3 was where I dropped it off. They especially did my boy Nightwing dirty. It got worse, but it started out pretty good. Let's not forget how she has a girl crush on Catwoman. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I love Poison Ivy in this show as a fangirl of Selina. So, they did race bend Selina, but she looks like a black version of her Arkham City design, which I was cool with, because Arkham City Selina is the best. Yeah, Ivy is a fangirl of Catwoman. It's weird, because she, smack talks her behind her back, tells Harley, oh, be wary of Selina, she's untrustworthy. Then she completely simps for Catwoman. Oh, you're so cool, Selina. I wish I was like you. Ivy, she stole your jacket. Oh, it's okay, it looks better on her than me. Kind of funny. Pretty funny seeing Ivy simping for Catwoman. But Catwoman is that possum. Still going on to A tier. Alright, which Ivy should we bump off next? I think we should get another bad one out of the way. Let's bump off Batman and Harley Quinn Poison Ivy. Yeah, here she is with Floronic Man. This one going on to Needs Water. So, there's one or two moments I found funny with this Ivy, but overall, she is a part of a god-awful movie. Batman and Harley Quinn is a love letter to the animated series, and I use that term very loosely because it feels like a Dear John letter. They wanted to have an anniversary for the animated series, so Batman and Harley Quinn worked together to defeat Poison Ivy and the Floronic Man. Yes, Ivy is one of the main villains of this movie, and they pretty much crap all over her. This movie sucks. They made Harley Quinn the most hateable character ever. It's not funny. It feels like it's pissing all over the animated series' writing and style, and Poison Ivy and Floronic Man were really pathetic villains. Basically, they wanted to destroy Gotham, make it a plant world. Yep, that's her scheme again. This time, Ivy's working with Floronic Man. If you don't know, this was Dr. Jason Woodrue. After Poison Ivy kissed him, it actually mutated him into an evil Swamp Thing. Yeah, that was a thing. Comic books are weird. Ivy is not replayed by Diane Pershing. Thank goodness. They got a new actress to play her. I forgot her name, but Ivy is not good in this movie. There's one moment I do like with her, but Ivy is pretty much a generic villain in this. Harley Quinn is trying to help stop her best friend and convince Ivy to turn over a new leaf. Batman believes Harley Quinn understands Poison Ivy and can help them defeat her, but Harley Quinn wants to help Poison Ivy see good in her again and reform. Yeah, Harley Quinn wants to save her ex-girlfriend. Poison Ivy gets high on a potato and walks through dimensions. Yeah, this movie is stupid. Eventually they have a final fight, and Harley Quinn and Ivy have their sexy cat fight, and this is the only reason why she wins a point. Harley Quinn does the sad puppy dog eyes, and it convinces Poison Ivy to stop being evil. Poison Ivy is begging her, no, don't do the face, give me that look, don't do it, and Poison Ivy breaks down crying and hugging Harley Quinn. From the Arkhamverse to this, folks. Yeah, Poison Ivy cries and hugs Harley Quinn, saying she's sorry and lets go of her evil path, and Floronic Man becomes the de facto villain in the final 5 minutes. Quote-unquote love letter. So, Bruce Timm meant for this to be a love letter, but honestly it feels like has a lot of regret and hatred for the animated series now. Yeah, Poison Ivy got bastardized. There's one funny joke, and that's the only reason why she wins a point. Honestly, this is not a good movie at all. The Poison Ivy depiction is not bad, but at the end of the day, her worst sin is that she's too generic, and they made Poison Ivy a total clown because she gets outsmarted by Harley Quinn. Remember when Poison Ivy was the smart one in their friendship? She doesn't need water, she needs acid. Don't forget TMNT versus Batman Ivy. Yep, she's on here. Whatever happened to her in Batman Beyond? Okay, so if you're curious, Paul Dini tweeted what happened to Poison Ivy. Apparently in one of his comics, Pamela Isley gave up being a supervillainess and she moved to the Amazon where she became a part of the Earth. Poison Ivy ended up dying kind of Arkham Knight style and bathing herself in the Amazon rainforest to protect it. That's apparently what Paul Dini said was her fate in Batman Beyond and why we don't see her ever again. I'm not sure if he was like just trolling us or if that's what he legit thinks, but yeah, that's quote unquote the story of what happened to DCAU Ivy. Ivy gave up her life of crime and moved to the Amazon rainforest to become a part of it, where she eventually combined her soul with the forest to live on as its protector. Honestly, it's kind of a sweet ending to her, but again, I'm not sure if Paul Dini was just trolling us or not. It didn't help that they couldn't get Arlene Sorkin to reprise her role, or even Tara Strong. Yeah, sadly, Arlene retired from Harley Quinn. Diane Pershing wasn't even asked to come back, and that pissed me off. I think Diane passed away by now, but yeah, that was a completely missed opportunity. Wait, high on a potato? Yeah, Floronic Man gets this magic potato and gives it to Poison Ivy, says, eat the potato and you can traverse cosmic dimensions, and it's a metaphor for weed. She gets like high and is tripping balls. Poison Ivy like takes a bite of the magic potato and her eyes become all like crazy cartoony. She's like seeing things, man. And it's like a joke. Poison Ivy and Floronic Man get high together. Believe it or not, this was actually a reference to a comic book where Poison Ivy tried to take over the world using weed. Yes, that actually did happen. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, Poison Ivy tried to use weed to take over Gotham City. At least it's not worse than Riddler's death in Batman Beyond or Bane. Yeah, Bane got hooked up to that chair. Okay, we'll do TMNT Ivy next. To be honest, the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn show is better than Velma. Yeah, because it had good seasons and episodes before it got bad. Okay, but yeah, Batman and Harley Quinn Poison Ivy needs water. Could have been good, but ended up just as bad as the rest of the movie. Still, she won me a few more laughs than these other Ivies. I'll put her onto the D tier. Alright, we'll finally do it. Batman versus TMNT Poison Ivy. Yep, Poison Ivy shows up. Shredder and Ra's al Ghul make a deal with the Joker, where they give him mutagen in exchange for his Joker Venom formula. Joker bathes his asylum inmates with mutagen, where the Dark Knight's rogues become mutant freaks, including Poison Ivy, who becomes a super duper monster plant, who is comedically defeated because she's attached to the floor. Yeah, honestly, pretty funny joke. I will put her onto A tier. Yeah, I'll put her under the Batman Ivy at least. Okay, so this Ivy clearly intended to be a joke and much funnier than Batman and Harley Quinn's Ivy by far. I'm not a fan of Tara Strong voicing Poison Ivy. There's a few more on here who we'll get to, but yeah, Tara Strong basically plays Poison Ivy because she's mostly Harley Quinn in the movie. Joker gives all the Arkham inmates mutations, and she becomes this really cool, badass, scary, carnivorous plant. Poison Ivy turns into a giant plant abomination, and can't reach the Turtles or Robin because she's welded to the floor. Yeah, Poison Ivy is literally a plant. She's rooted deeply in the ground, and Robin and two of the turtles are just barely out of reach. She can't grab them, and they hilariously defeat Poison Ivy by walking around her because she can't grab them. Honestly, it is one of the funniest jokes of the movie, which is why she's going on high. Kind of sad we don't get to see Ivy kick ass in her mutant form, but it's a classic Turtles moment. Tara Strong basically voiced quite a bit of the DC characters at this point. I'm surprised we haven't gotten Tara Strong as Catwoman yet. But Grey DeLisle is just a superstar. What's next? Making mutant catnip? My god, Poison Ivy tried to rule the world using weed. I have so many questions. What? So she became a drug dealer? Honestly, that might be a smart plan of Ivy. Dealing weed, but the weed is actually her mutant plants who take people over. Yeah, that was an actual comic. Look it up. This part where she tried to eat Damien. Okay, it was Raphael and Mikey. Both funny and sad at the same time. Yeah, it's pretty much a big joke fight. Ivy is built up heavily, like she's gonna give them a badass fight scene. She's cool, she's scary, has an epic mutagen form, but she can't reach them. Yeah, she's literally planted in the ground, desperately trying to grab them with her plant arms, but nope. They're just out of reach, and they, like, walk around her, sticking close to the wall, and Ivy, like, throws a bitch fit. It is just so hilarious. Yeah, basically, funny joke character. I'll put her onto A tier because, yeah, it is a laugh-out-loud funny moment in the movie. Unfortunately, she didn't get to do much, and not a fan of Tara Strong voicing her. Honestly, they should have got Tasia Valenza. That would have been really hilarious. But Tara, you did a pretty fine job. This Ivy going on to Pretty Poison. DC Comics is weird. Oh, you want to know weird? Superman meets the Nesquik bunny. Yes, the chocolate milk bunny teamed up with Superman. That is so crazy. That was my first Linkara video. Okay, but yeah. TMNT, Ivy, going on to A tier. Funny joke character. Alright, next we'll knock off Gotham by Gaslight Poison Ivy. And this Ivy tragically going on to Wallflower. Why? Because Ivy is barely in this movie. Ivy's like all over the trailers, all over the posters. They got Kari Wurr, the voice of Maria Hill, to play her. And what does Ivy do in this movie? Ivy is an exotic dancer at a strip club, obviously plant-themed, and she's an opening slasher victim. Yeah, Ivy is the opening kill of this movie. Gotham by Gaslight is a slasher movie where Batman fights Jack the Ripper. And tragically, Poison Ivy is one of the women killed by the Ripper. Yeah, Ivy, she is the opening kill of this horror movie. Gotham by Gaslight, really good movie. I do like it. I've gotten requests to review it. Just gotta get a good copy. Yeah, I'm not gonna use a digital copy. I want to find a digital one. No, I want to find a DVD. But yeah, Poison Ivy ends up killed by Jack the Ripper. She is the first victim we see in the movie. Poison Ivy is working at a strip club, basically. She's an exotic dancer dressed in a plant theme. She walks down a dark alley, and unfortunately the killer gets her. Poison Ivy ends up shanked on the streets and left for dead. We learn more about her after her death, ironically. Ivy was friends with Sister Leslie Tompkins and Selena Kyle, and Selena launches her own investigation to capture and unmask the Ripper. Unfortunately, Ivy doesn't get to do much. I do like the design, because of course I do. It's a Poison Ivy style stripper. And Kari Wurr is a great actress, but she didn't get to do much. Poison Ivy is the first victim of a horror movie, and that's why she's going on to Wallflower. She was there. There was the subway guy we don't talk about. Oh yeah, Jared. Yeah, he was a funny boss fight though in the South Park superhero game. Okay, Superman meeting the Nesquik bunny, that's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. Oh, that was real. You could actually find a review of Linkara reviewing it. Linkara reviewed the crossover between Superman and the Nesquik bunny. One of his funniest videos. That was my first video where I saw the guy with the magic gun. if Ivy wasn't a plant mutant, what would she be? I think she would be kind of a seductress with a plant theme, kind of like the original animated series Ivy. She wears green, she has like bows and arrows on her, she is able to fight but just not control plants. Yeah, I think she would just be a plant-themed femme fatale. But yeah, Ivy was there, she's the opening kill, and that's it. Going on to Wallflower. Alright, next Poison Ivy, I think while we're back in the Victorian era, we'll also do the Doom That Came to Gotham Ivy. Yes, this is what Ivy looked like in Batman vs. Cthulhu, and believe it or not, I think I might put her onto pretty poison. Yeah, I'll put her under Peyton List for sure. In Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham, this is honestly another weird movie in DC's lineup. Batman is investigating the cult of Cthulhu. Yeah, it is an Elseworlds tale. It takes place in old Victorian England, and Poison Ivy is in the movie. We see Batman's villains as Lovecraftian abominations. Pamela Isley is a cultist of Cthulhu. She helps spread the fear of Cthulhu, and the Ancient Ones choose her by blessing her with the power. Pamela Isley becomes mutated into this botanical abomination here, where she will spread the essence of the Ancient Ones by literally planting new seeds in our mortal world. Poison Ivy seduces and infects Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent becomes Lovecraft Two-Face, and Ivy, over the course of the film, turns into this demonic plant witch, and yeah, she's pretty creepy. This Ivy is less sexy and more so terrifying. Ivy is an abomination. She was touched by the Ancient Ones to become a plant goddess, spreading and basically terraforming our world into an Ancient Ones paradise. Yeah, she's mutating Gotham City and Victorian London into a plant world. She is basically a mini-boss they fight in the middle of the movie, and Poison Ivy gets killed by Oliver Queen. Yes, not Batman. Green Arrow kills Poison Ivy. Oliver Queen is actually a chosen one destined to defeat Lovecraftian monsters. He is trying to deny his destiny, being an alcoholic loser, until he eventually mans up, gets his mojo back, and helps save Batman from evil Poison Ivy. We get to see Oliver Queen become old-fashioned Green Arrow, where he kills Poison Ivy, burns her with flaming arrows. Unfortunately, at the cost of his life, Oliver Queen takes down Lovecraftian Ivy, and that's basically the end of her. But Oliver passes on his weapons to the Dark Knight to slay the Ancient Ones once and for all. Honestly, a pretty cool interpretation of Ivy. I do like her and Mr. Freeze's reinterpretations in this movie because they look really cool. If I read that one, I seen weird comics like Batman Meets the Looney Tunes, NFL Super Pro. I know it's a Marvel, but I remember seeing the comic once at the swap meet once, and Mighty Murder Power Rangers. Yeah, the Mighty Murder Power Rangers. That one was also really trippy. Okay, so to wrap up, Lovecraftian Ivy honestly is a pretty cool design. I like that this is a scary horror movie Ivy. Unfortunately, she does kind of end up killed before the final battle, and by Green Arrow no less. I'll still put her onto A tier. Pretty poison. Not a definitive Ivy, but a pretty fun reinterpretation. Sorry, drinking water to stay hydrated. Alright. Next, I think we'll bump off the Batman Aztec Ivy. Oh yeah, do you guys remember this movie? I think it came out last year. Batman Azteca. Batman and his rogues gallery are reinterpreted as Aztec versions of themselves. Batman Azteca is not a good movie. It is very slow, boring, and at times doesn't even feel like a Batman story, which is why they injected a few of his rogues gallery to remind you that this is a Batman story. Poison Ivy is horribly reinterpreted in this because, you know, Pamela Isley as the sexy evil villainess in this movie, Poison Ivy is actually a benevolent goddess who cares about humanity. Yeah, going on to needs water. This was a bad Poison Ivy. Ivy is a hero in this movie. She's an Aztec plant goddess who cares about life and its people. Yeah, they completely got everything wrong about Poison Ivy in this movie. Ivy is a benevolent plant goddess, is protecting the Aztecs, joins them in the fight against the conquistadors, led by Cortez Two-Face. Yeah, that actually happens. Yeah, Cortez is actually Two-Face in this movie, and they fight the conquistadors together. Batman undergoes his journey to become the noble Bat Warrior, and Poison Ivy is there, basically being a benevolent goddess. She's like the head god. Appears for a few scenes. They kind of made her look like a sexy version of the Birch from Crypt TV. It is a pretty good design, which is why she gets a point, but the writing is pretty terrible, and the dubbing in this movie is beyond horrendous. What? Oh, Shadow Link, you didn't know? There's a movie called Batman Azteca. It was DC's attempt at making a movie to reach out to its Hispanic audiences. Kind of like Batman Ninja was for reaching out towards the Japanese audiences. Poison Ivy is reinvented as an Aztec character along with a lot of Batman's rogues. Like Cortez and Azrael are in the movie. Cortez becomes Two-Face. Azrael is his right-hand man. We see Aztec versions of Batman, Alfred, Catwoman, and the Joker. The Joker's like a mad, insane Aztec priest who betrays his people. It is a trippy movie, and not a very good one. I recommend Batman Ninja more than this one. Poison Ivy is a benevolent plant goddess and a hero in this movie. She inspires Batman to become the Dark Knight. Wow, it's amazing how much wrong they get about most of the characters in this movie. Poison Ivy definitely suffered a lot more because Ivy's on the hero side, which is about as wrong as you can get for Poison Ivy. No Ninja. Oh, she's right here. Yeah, we could do her next. Just wanted to knock off a bad Ivy. Thanks, Linkara. Wasn't there a Batman as a samurai? That's Batman Ninja. She's right here. We'll get to her after then. No, Ninja. Hey, Akira, you made it. Hi, Cat. So I have to say that Poison Ivy is cool. Yes, she is. And I chose for my late birthday request, Top 10 Mystery Inc. Daphne Blake funny moments. That might be a bit hard. If we're doing like one show, maybe. Since Me review is perfect for Valentine's Day. Akira, we're finally talking about the Aztec Poison Ivy. Yeah, I am finally talking about this movie, and yeah, they failed her. This is not a good interpretation of Poison Ivy. She's not a key player, and she mostly exists to remind you that this is a Batman story. Batman Azteca feels like a completely different movie. Half the characters are basically just there, or they're here to remind you that, yeah, this is a Batman Elseworld story. This totally is. This totally isn't an original idea we hastily crammed DC lore into. Yeah, it sucks. Batman Azteca is not a good movie, and their Poison Ivy is completely different. They made her look like Ivy, but she does not act like Ivy at all. This one needs water. What's the next Batman villains tier list? Or that it? We do have Clayface. I gotta wait for James Gunn's movie, though. Yeah, we still do have a few more villains under our belt. Let's see, yeah, we talked about almost all of them. People want the Joker again. I did my top 10 Jokers a while back. I wouldn't mind doing a tier list. But yeah, I gotta wait for a few DC stories to come out. Yeah, we could do a Joker tier list. I know everybody's dying to talk about Jerome and Jeremiah's differences. Oh yeah, the Penguin. We haven't done the Penguin yet. Sorry, folks, but I gotta see the HBO Penguin show first. I've been kind of delaying that because I've been so busy. Yeah, I do have a life, guys. There are some stuff that have been on the back burner forever. What about Mad Hatter? Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah, we probably could do Mad Hatter. I can see that one coming soon since, for some reason, DC doesn't like using Jervis all that much. Yeah, Mad Hatter definitely won, but Joker and Penguin are also still up there. We just gotta watch a few more DC properties. I know there's a toy line of the 1990s called Batman Night Force Ninjas, where Batman and Robin have ninja action and had ninja version of the Riddler and a horrifying version of Croc and Joker. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, Mad Hatter definitely might be next because he also has less interpretations. Okay, so to wrap up, Akira, if you're watching, we finally saw Batman Azteca, and they failed a lot of characters, including Poison Ivy. Going on needs water. Alright, somebody said Batman Ninja, and Poison Ivy was in the first movie. Here she is. Batman Ninja Ivy, really like the design. Unfortunately, she does suffer a lack of screen time, so I'm also putting her onto Pretty Poison. Alright, Batman Ninja is a really insane movie. I actually grew to like it. It is pretty dumb, but it's dumb fun. Batman and his rogues gallery are teleported to feudal Japan, where they have an epic ninja slash samurai fight over Japan. Batman time travels, and yeah, these are his actual villains. It is not an Elseworlds tale. These are the actual DC icons being moved to feudal Japan, and Poison Ivy is one of the villains there. Batman's villains are trying to fight over Japan. They're having a big Arkham City style turf war where they have their own clans and armadas trying to conquer the most of that sweet Japanese island. There's like a turf war between the Joker and Harley Quinn, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, she is there, the Penguin is there, played by Tom Kenny again, which made me really happy, and Deathstroke. Yeah, Slade Wilson is in there because he looks like one of the Japanese overlords from back in the day. Again, really trippy movie. And Poison Ivy's there, played by Tara Strong. Alright, so I'm not a fan of Tara Strong as Poison Ivy, but thankfully she's a bit character. As you can see, really cool design. Ivy gets a sexy samurai armor because of course she does. She has a plant castle and all her ninjas are brainwashed. They're all mind controlled by those Ivy spores and pheromones to serve as her army. And they have a big epic kaiju megazord fight between all the villains. Ivy is there until she gets mind controlled by Gorilla Grodd. It turns out Gorilla Grodd pulled a long game insane gambit roulette where Gorilla Grodd teams up with Batman to return back to the future. Only, psych, he was evil and the mastermind all along. Grodd mind controls all of Gotham's villains to build his ultimate Megazord combiner. They turn into like a giant Decepticon, but psych, it turns out there's a double twist. The Joker is back. The Joker became the most powerful man in Japan, and he dethrones Gorilla Grodd, taking over his Super Megazord for himself, and it leads to a final fight between Batman and his family and the Joker and his mind-controlled army. Poison Ivy fights Damian Wayne Robin, who for some reason they keep trying to make Damian Ivy's ultimate enemy. But yeah, Damian fights Poison Ivy and basically clips her plants and knocks her out. Yeah, that's the end of Ivy. She is a minor supporting character in this movie, though it was pretty cool to see her here since they got as many Batman faces as possible. Honestly, really cool design, really nifty powers, and I wish we got to see more with Batman's other rogues gallery, but Joker and Catwoman kind of steal the show in this film. Oh, Deathstroke would be another nice tier list too. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I might do him. I was afraid some people wouldn't remember him because Slade is kind of remembered mostly for Teen Titans and the Arrowverse, but yeah, Deathstroke tier list, that could be pretty cool. Wait for Batman Ninja 3. I hope it's good. I did not watch the second one. Sorry, I still haven't seen it yet. I'm curious to watch it though, because the first movie was dumb fun. I heard mixed things about the second one. It was more so about the Justice League than the actual villains, but I might see it still. Batman Ninja number 1 is still pretty fun. Bye, Cat, since it was just short. Bye, Kira. Of course, we know that Jervis from the animated series will be on S tier. Yeah, Rowdy McDowell is one of the best Mad Hatters, okay? I know Peter McNichol is also pretty cool, but Rowdy McDowell is my definitive Jervis. And Azrael. I don't think there's enough Azraels for a tier list, though. There's also Batgirl 2 for the hero side of things. Yeah. Weirdly, Batgirl wasn't in Batman Ninja. They got all the boys, but our hot chick was Selena Kyle. Yeah, we don't see Batgirl in this movie. Batman's with Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, and Catwoman is the token girl teammate. Though I'm not complaining because Grey DeLisle's back as Catwoman and they gave her like a really hot design. My god, if I come across the Japanese warlord incarnation of Slade, I'm so not gonna battle him. Yeah, Slade is a badass assassin. Who is that white hair Poison Ivy between the Lego one and that other one? Oh, the white hair, oh you mean this one? Okay, we'll talk about her next. Zatanna needs to be like Momo Ais of Batman Ninja. Yeah, Zatanna would be cool. Okay, but to wrap up, Poison Ivy's a bit player, but I do like her design, and she was fun. She fulfilled her purpose. I'll put her onto Pretty Poison. Okay, someone's curious about white-haired Ivy. This is Poison Ivy from Merry Little Batman. If you haven't heard of the show, don't worry because it sucks. So, this might be another terrible interpretation of Poison Ivy. She's also going on to Dead Plant. Alright, why? Get this. So, Merry Little Batman makes Poison Ivy an old grandma dressing up as a femme fatale to prove she's still got it. Yeah, feel free to vomit. Yeah, Poison Ivy is aged up into an 80-year-old woman. You can see like her white hair. She's also kind of a scrawny twig, very malnourished. Ivy is an old lady dressing up in her old femme fatale outfits to prove she's still hot. Yeah, this is somebody's barely disguised creepy fetish on full display. Merry Little Batman. If you haven't heard this, it's an HBO Max only show. It's only available on streaming. These were holiday specials featuring the Batman and characters in their Dr. Seuss art, and the animation is ugly. It looks bad. None of the characters look good. Batman and his son Damian Wayne are having holiday hijinks, and Batman's villains come in to ruin it. Joker kind of looks like a caricature of Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Poison Ivy is a old lady trying to play the seductress still, and yeah, it is cringy, it is vomit-inducing, and somebody got too into this design because she's wearing her animated series outfit, but it's an old woman wearing it. This is clearly somebody's creepy fetish. Vomiting violently. Vomiting Brian Griffin style. Vomiting for like 3 minutes straight. Yeah. Bad. It was terrible. Poison Ivy is basically in a villain gang, helping them ruin Batman's Christmas. And that's kind of all you need to know because she's just a side character in this show. And this was a god-awful reimagining. I mean, look at this design. Who wanted this? Who wanted old lady Poison Ivy? Poison Ivy like disguises herself as like an elf helper when they pretend to be Santa Claus. And yeah, it's clearly meant for kids, and if you like it, that's fine, but this is my opinion, and I do not like it. Wait, what? Yeah, this is actually a thing. Like, this is worse than Old Lady Catwoman. Yeah, because Old Lady Catwoman worked in the context of Frank Miller's story. Poison Ivy's whole character is that she's a grouchy old lady trying to pretend she's still hot. Still dressing like a femme fatale seductress even though she's quadruple the age she normally is. Yeah, who wants to see 80-year-old old lady Poison Ivy in her femme fatale outfit trying to seduce people? I really hope somebody got fired for this decision because that is brain dead dumb. If you didn't want to make Poison Ivy sexy, that's fine, but this was not the way. Merry Little Batman, what? Wait, what? Yeah, got all the people shocked that, yeah, this is the thing. This was an actual thing in Merry Little Batman. Old lady Poison Ivy trying to pretend she still has her groove. Nobody wanted to see this, and somebody deserves to be fired at HBO Max. Why do I feel like it's something from Elsa Gate? Can we move on? Sure. Seeing this reminds me of Cruella de Vil. That might have been what they were going for, but Cruella had a better design. Yeah, we'll move on. It's awkward, it's cringy, it's vomit-inducing, dead plant. She only wins out above the Batwoman Ivies because it was a lot more tolerable. Oh, speaking of Bat Ivies, let's do Batman Dark Tomorrow Ivy. Yeah, she's going on to Dead Plant too. Yeah, remember Batman Dark Tomorrow? The video game that tried to be the first Arkham Asylum but got everything absolutely wrong? Yeah, Poison Ivy's in Dark Tomorrow, and she's a filler boss fight. There's a breakout at Arkham Asylum, and Poison Ivy is one of the most laughably evil boss fights ever. Poison Ivy ambushes the Dark Knight, and you have a really easy boss fight. You have to fight her mutant plant, which you can beat by hiding out in the corner and spam attacking it. Yeah, just hide in the corner out of the mutant plant's reach, and it is piss easy. You just beat up the plant, and that dethrones Ivy, and she's locked back up in Arkham. All these years later, Dark Tomorrow still sucks. It is one of the worst Batman video games, and if we have more of the characters on the tier list, you can bet they're all here in F tier. Oh god. Yeah, remember Shadowlink? Remembering Batman Dark Tomorrow, that video game? Okay, so I respect Dark Tomorrow wanted to try and be a good superhero game, but it was not there. The production values were just too bad. Go to the next one, Lego, before my brain turns to mush. Point of advice, let's talk about less of Merry Little Batman and Transformers Kiss players. Okay, so yeah, Dark Tomorrow Poison Ivy, like everything else in the game, she sucks. Even the voice acting felt really off. And yeah, get used to her hearing, my baby, every time Batman punches her stupid plant boss. They didn't even give her more than 5 lines. This Ivy sucks, going on Dead Plant. Alright, next we'll do Lego Poison Ivy from the first Lego Batman, and yep, going on to S tier. I love the Lego Batman games. You've all heard this song and dance before in the other tier list, but Lego Batman is just pure dumb fun, and Poison Ivy is another cool character in it. One, they give you her bio in it so you know who she is, and Poison Ivy has a lot of cool attacks. Poison Ivy has pheromones, she can mind control people, and she can do kung fu. Yeah, Ivy actually does fighting in the Lego Batman games along with everyone else, including Batman's wussier villains. Just like Catwoman and Harley Quinn, Ivy also has the seduction power, where you can seduce a guard to let you into hidden areas. Yeah, all the Gotham Sirens have the power of seduction, which I do really like. Yeah, the Gotham Sirens can seduce guards into giving them access to restricted areas, and Poison Ivy, of course, has that power. I mean, it's Poison Ivy. Ivy is in the Riddler segment of the game, where Riddler teams up with all the Joel Schumacher villains. Yeah, all the Schumacher villains are in the Riddler segment. Riddler, Two-Face, Ivy, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface. Yeah, don't worry, they didn't get Bane. They got Clayface. Clayface was not a Schumacher villain, but Joel did mention he wanted to have him. Yeah, all the Schumacher villains are a segment in the game. Poison Ivy fights you in the Botanical Gardens because, of course you do. Her boss fight is pretty cool. It's a Lego version of her Arkham boss fight. She's in like a giant Venus flytrap plant. You defeat the plant and defeat her. Oh, there's Wolf's cameo. Wolf's on Steam right now. Glad this list is longer. I would have missed it by now. Went to bed at 5 a.m. yesterday. Really need to change my sleep schedule, lol. Bodhi, you made it. We're talking about Lego Ivy. Take a gander at all the Ivies who made it. Don't worry, Tasia Valenza is not on this list yet. You must just talk about Old Lady Ivy from Merry Little Batman. Yeah, bringing it back to haunt Bodhi's nightmares. Got a few Ivies remaining still, don't worry, Bodhi. We're on Lego Poison Ivy, the first one, and yeah, I do like her. I'm gonna put her onto S tier. Ivy is one of the boss fights in the Riddler segment. You defeat her, send her to jail. If you play the villain side of things, she and Edward Nygma break into the Botanical Gardens, steal something for his evil plan until Ivy stays behind for her boss fight. Yeah, pretty cool Ivy. Love the seduction powers. Love how they simulate her plant pheromones in the game. Ivy is immune to toxins, exactly like Bane and Killer Croc. Ivy can walk through contaminated areas because she is a mutant. LB, Lego Batman 1's Ivy, amazing. LB2 would be better if she wasn't voiced by Laura Bailey or Tara Strong. Yeah, we do speaking of which, we'll do the other one. We have the other Lego Batman, Poison Ivy. I know you really like her. I'm going to put her onto S tier, but below the first one. Yeah, Poison Ivy is back in the Lego Batman sequels. They got Laura Bailey to voice her, and unfortunately, Tara Strong. They did get Tasia Valenza in Lego Dimensions because that was a more expensive video game. But yeah, do love the redesign especially. Ivy has the same power she had in the Lego Batman 1, has a new look, and actually talks in a few of these games. Once again, I do like the Lego games. Going on to S tier because it's just dumb fun. The design in the second and third game is just perfect. Not as perfect as Catwoman, Bodhi. Okay, but yeah, Lego Batman, these games are dumb, but they're dumb fun. I do like Poison Ivy in them. She's cool, she's kick-ass, and these designs are pretty epic. We had it so good back when we had children's games. Hoping that new Lego Batman Legacy game is just as great. Both of them going on to Mother Nature. Okay. So, got a few Ivies left. Don't worry, Bodhi, we're not low on them yet. Let's talk about Young Justice Ivy. Ivy is played by Alyssa Milano for like 10 lines, and then she's completely forgotten about after season 1. Young Justice Ivy, okay, I have kind of mixed feelings on her. I might put her onto Wallflower. Yeah, I'll put her above Kid Ivy, but under Uma Thurman. Alright, Young Justice had Poison Ivy. She was a part of the Injustice Gang. The Legion of Doom sets up a fake Legion of Doom called the Injustice Gang. Basically, they recruit a bunch of big-name bad guys and try to fool the League into believing they're fighting and combating the real ringleaders of the mysterious light. Poison Ivy is there with Joker, Ultra Humanite, Black Adam, Count Vertigo. They set up a super scheme to take over the world. Of course, Poison Ivy is pretty much the backbone of this army because she's using her giant mutant plants combined with their other powers and the strategies to launch a full-scale invasion of the globe. Ivy is played by Alyssa Milano because, if you don't know, Alyssa Milano used to be hot. She was the star of Charmed, and on a few of those Outer Limits episodes, I know which ones you guys want me to review. But yeah, Alyssa Milano does fine, but she honestly could have been replaced by anyone. Like, they could have gotten Vanessa Marshall or even Tasia Valenza, and it would have made no difference at all. I'm not sure why Greg Weisman paid so much for these celebrity guest stars, because half of them barely get to do much. Oh yeah, Brent Spiner, Data, is the Joker in this show, and he was not well casted. XD, yeah, thank you, buddy. Oh, I see you put adult Peyton List in the A tier. Yeah, here she is. Here she is. Almost liked her, but they kind of wrote her out awkwardly on the show. Though, don't worry, Peyton List is in S tier too, Bodhi. Batman Hush Ivy is up here. Alyssa Milano has never been the same anymore. Yeah, Milano's not very good. She drank the political Kool-Aid and has kind of gone off her rocker. But her Poison Ivy, honestly, I do kind of like the design. They go for a more creepy Ivy. Weirdly, Poison Ivy and Joker are actually best friends in this show. They don't explore more of that because Young Justice has like a cast of 50 main characters. But Ivy fights the Teen Titans. They're the Teen Titans in all but name, the Young Justice team. Find out where the Legion of Doom are hiding, where they launch an invasion scheme of their own, taking out the villains right at their home turf. Ivy fights them, her plants are destroyed by Superboy, big epic fight scene, eventually they're all defeated, Joker tries to suicide bomb them all with his Joker gas. Only for Zatanna to don the helmet of fate and save them all. And that's kind of the last we ever see of this Poison Ivy. Yeah, she was whatever. Honestly, could have been a great Poison Ivy if they brought her back or, you know, did anything with her. But no, Poison Ivy is a filler boss fight in the show and only in one episode. What a waste of Alyssa Milano. Going on to Wallflower. Hell yeah, Hush Ivy's so good. I agree, Bodhi. Hush Ivy, Painless did make it onto S tier, so don't worry, she did count. Alright, so any late bird showing up in S tier. We have the DCAU Ivies. Diane Pershing so far has the lead as both her Ivy forms from Batman the Animated Series and all the DCAU shows. Painless Ivy from Batman Hush is up here. The Lego Ivies made it up to S tier. In Pretty Poison, we have Batman Ninja Ivy. We have Justice League Action Ivy. We have Lake Bell. I know, Bodhi, you don't like Harley Quinn Ivy, but she's pretty funny. Painless live action Ivy from Gotham, easily the best of the Gotham actresses. The Doom That Came to Gotham Ivy, the Batman Ivy, TMNT Ivy, who was a joke villain, and Brave and the Bold Ivy, who I do like as a design. Yeah, they're all A's here, all Pretty Poison. Right smack in the middle in Wallflower, we have Uma Thurman Ivy. Don't worry, Bodhi, she didn't win very high. Young Justice Ivy. We have Ivy Pepper, her child form, and we have Gotham by Gaslight Ivy, who is just an opening kill victim. All basically smack in the middle, they're Wallflowers. In Unknown Specimen, one of the Ivies I don't recognize is Batwheels Ivy. Ever heard of Batwheels, folks? Yeah, Ivy was in it. I do not know the show. She's gone on Unknown. In Needs Water, we have Maggie Gia Ivy, Batman Azteca Ivy, and unfortunately, Batman and Harley Quinn Ivy. Yeah, these ones pretty much duds. Did not like them. Could have been great, but ended up very weak. And in F tier, Dead Plant, we have Dark Tomorrow Ivy, Teen Titans Go Ivy, shocker, Merry Little Batman Ivy, you missed that whole conversation, Bodhi, Old Lady Ivy on here, and both the Batwoman Ivies. Yeah, they all suck. They're terrible. Diane's the OG. Yes, she is, which is why she's still in the lead. Will she be dethroned by a bigger plant? We'll see. Although I wish I can try the Purplesaurus Rex, sigh, only time can tell. At least my Kool-Aid is strawberry, blueberry, and banana flavor. All pretty good flavors. Hell yeah, Hush Ivy's so good. Who's Alyssa Milano, and what exactly happened to her? Alyssa Milano used to be an A-list celebrity. She was the star of Charmed. It was a supernatural show about witches combating the forces of evil. Milano used to be a very sexy sex symbol until she kind of lost her way. She's one of the actors who went woke. Pretty much they went political. She's spamming a lot of BS politics and a lot of biased opinions now, complaining about Donald Trump and, wasting her life on all this senseless hate. Yeah, Alyssa Milano, she used to be a big celebrity. She was in a bunch of movies, too. I was honestly too young to remember her. I remember she was a star of Charmed. She was on The Outer Limits. I got all your requests, yeah. She was on a lot of horror movies, but yeah, Milano kind of lost her way, and now she just wastes her days complaining on Twitter. Maybe watch Batwheels to find out. The show just doesn't appeal to me. It looks too kid-friendly. Alyssa and Tara are very close, not surprising. I feel glad that Batman and Robin Ivy isn't in last place. I think she's underrated. I do like parts of Uma Thurman Ivy, but God, that movie sucked, and I did not like a few of her outfits. I liked 2 or 3 of them, but a lot of them looked really goofy. Uma honestly would have made it onto A tier if it weren't for the writing of that film, but I do think she was underrated too. I put her in Silver Skull territory. Alright, next, who should we bump off? I think we should get... let's see. I think we should finally talk about... Get your cape on, DC Superhero Girls. Yeah, this Poison Ivy from... the first DC Superhero Girls show, this Ivy also going on to Dead Plant. So, try and follow me here. The first DC Superhero Girls show is a kid-friendly show where we follow the iconic DC heroes and villains going to a superhero high school. And Poison Ivy is one of the main heroes. Yes, really. Ivy is reinvented as a good guy for this show. Out of all the girl heroes we have out there, they decided to convert Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy into heroes. Why? So they could become a part of the main cast. The first Superhero Girls show focuses on Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Batgirl, makes sense so far, Bumblebee, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. Yeah, two of these things are not like the other. Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are good girls on this show. And Poison Ivy is played by Tara Strong, who I think is the worst voice actress for Poison Ivy. Okay, guys, don't get me wrong. Tara Strong is a talented actress. I do like her. She is good at anything, except for Poison Ivy. Her Poison Ivy is a lot more soft-spoken and friendly, and the show made Poison Ivy Fluttershy. Yeah, this is pretty much just Fluttershy with plant powers. The superhero girls are pretty much the main six from My Little Pony. Harley Quinn is Pinkie Pie, and Poison Ivy is Fluttershy. Poison Ivy is socially awkward, shy, talks to plants, is afraid to express herself and her feelings, cares more about the plants than the literal damage the villains are doing to people or the city. Ivy is always trying to rush to save the grass, prevent like forest fires and such. She does have pretty cool powers, but man, does this not feel like Poison Ivy. Even on a kid-friendly show like this, it's so baffling. I mean, there's so many great female superheroes out there, and you have Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy become good guys? It's like, what about Black Canary, Vixen, Zatanna, hell, Girl Hawk and Dove? You have so many girl heroes to choose from, and they wanted to make Poison Ivy a good guy. And she's also Fluttershy. It would make sense for a pre-mutated Ivy, but no, it did not work. It was just not a good idea to make Ivy and Harley Quinn good guys on the show, but it's because they were marketable. So Aztec Ivy all over again? Yeah, all over, except they tried to make her funnier, which just made her worse, and I do not like Tara Strong as Poison Ivy. Tara has a much more soft-spoken voice when she should sound seductive, and I don't think Tara Strong can do seductive all that well. I mean, unless you watch Extreme Ghostbusters, but yeah, she does not really do sexy characters often, and Ivy is supposed to be a sexy character. I get that they de-aged her and it's more child-friendly, but she doesn't even sound badass or cool either, when Ivy's supposed to sound in control, so smooth, so intelligent, and we just get Diet Fluttershy. I like Teen Titans Go, but Ivy barely got anything to do, along with every DC character, so it's hard to rank her too highly. I agree with Uma being at least in the middle. I don't have to like her, but I can appreciate the charm she planted onto the fandom. Thank you, Bodhi. Yeah, I wanted Uma to be a great Ivy. She is unfortunately the only live-action movie Ivy we've ever had, but not too bad. Yep, Aztec Ivy all over again. I heard about that, and even I think that was a bad idea. Also forgot that Star Sapphire is also here on the show. Yeah, Star Sapphire and friggin' Killer Frost are heroes. Her name is Killer Frost, and she's a hero. Yeah, Star Sapphire is a hero on the show, too. Catwoman is at least an anti-hero, so they got that right. Cheetah is a bully on the show, though they make her kind of sympathetic. It is so weird Ahsoka voices Cheetah on that show. I did not expect that voice to go with Minerva. I mean, there was that Gotham High idea that was a plan in the 2000s before it became The Batman. Very glad it did. At least Batgirl in this series isn't voiced by Tara Strong, which I hated the idea. Well, Tara Strong was a good Batgirl back in Batman the Animated Series. But afterwards, she started playing more lighthearted, goofy versions of Barbara, and that's what the fanbase really hates. Anyways, Superhero Girls, Ivy, sucks. Really terrible. Though, we did have an upgrade with the second gen of DC Superhero Girls. Ivy came back. Ivy is a villain again, and she's a magic elf. Yeah, that was a really weird design. I'm also going to put her onto Wallflower. Okay, so there was a second attempt at the DC Superhero Girls show, this time with Lauren Faust, who made another MLP show with the Hero Girls. So Ivy is one of the major villains because she's one of the super villain girls. Ivy is a part of the Girl Legion of Doom alongside the Sirens, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, but they also got Giganta, Livewire, and Star Sapphire in there. Poison Ivy honestly has a pretty nifty design. I do like the weird magic elf they go for. Yeah, they couldn't sexualize her, so they kind of made her look more like a mythical creature. Ivy is a lot more comedic in this show. She has some dark moments, but yeah, it is kind of trippy here too. Once again, the DC icons are in high school, but actually have secret identities. Jessica Cruz tries to befriend Pamela Isley because Isley is the weird girl. She always sits alone, sits in the back of the class, is eating like meat like an animal, protective of plants. They did make this Ivy a carnivore, which makes sense because she wouldn't eat her own plants. Ivy is a loner. Jessica Cruz tries to forcefully become best friends with her. Ivy is having none of it. Ivy doesn't like Jessica Cruz. She's annoyed by her, tries to get away from her, up until they finally agree on a point. They want to protest to save a rare tree. This rare oak tree is going to be bulldozed over, and Ivy finally reaches out with Jessica Cruz and protests with her, only to immediately regret that because Jessica Cruz is a useless tool. If you saw my superhero girls list, you know I do not like Jessica Cruz and fully agree Poison Ivy's hatred of her. Ivy decides to become a supervillainess and save the tree using her villain means, where she fights Green Lantern, and somehow the two girls never realize that they're the same person. Yeah, she has a fight with Jessica Cruz only to accidentally destroy the tree, and Ivy is heartbroken by it and calls out Jessica Cruz on being a dumbass, thank goodness, and retreats, revealing that she's not so evil. Ivy does start to show a human side as the series goes on, but ultimately she's still kind of a villainess. I do like the kid version of Ivy. She does have her moments. She does have her moments of badassery, her moments of silliness, and do love how she completely craps all over Jessica Cruz, who I hate. Star Sapphire at least makes sense, because she's never been wholly evil when not under the ring's influence. Yeah, but this was a weird show. It was. Yeah, Batgirl in the first show was voiced by Mae Whitman. I remember how, despite her being a loner in the series, she likes to hang out with the villain girls. Yeah, she gets along well with the villain girls. I think that was only done because, you know, it has the Sirens. Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy always are best friends. So it was kind of an homage to that. But yeah, Poison Ivy, pretty cool design on the show. Wish they did more with her, but she was basically your standard cartoon villainess. I'll put her right smack in the middle on Wallflower. Alright, I gotta use another restroom break, but down to the final 6. Cast your vote on who you want to see next. I will warn you, we might be saving a certain fan favorite for last, but tell me what you guys want to see next. I'll be right back. Injustice Ivy, okay. You cannot defeat Mother Nature. Hey, buddy, made more comments, huh? Looks like people want Injustice Ivy. Alright. Sorry, catch up on comments. I think Assault on Arkham Ivy should be in Wallflower. Design's perfect and has me urgent hard, but like Gotham by Gaslight, it was a small cameo. Sorry, Bodhi, looks like you're outvoted. Injustice next. Injustice. Save Arkham Ivy for last, and oh geez, Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League Ivy's there. Yep, it's her. That's her in her little girl form. Really ugly picture, but it's a really ugly game, so cut me some slack. The part where she ate that piece of meat like a carnivore is both funny and scary, like a woman who never had a taste of meat before. Okay, so yeah. Alright, people want Injustice Ivy, and sorry, Bodhi, but Injustice Ivy is going on to Mother Nature. I'll put her under Lego Ivy, though. Poison Ivy is in Injustice 2. Yeah, she's not in the first game. If you have a mobile version of the game, she's a support card. But she officially debuts in the sequel, Injustice 2, voiced by the lovely Tasia Valenza. If you don't know who that is Arkhamverse Poison Ivy, because Injustice is a love letter to everything great about DC. Poison Ivy is in it, she's a part of Gorilla Grodd's Legion of Doom, and Poison Ivy has really cool fighting moves, really cool design. I do like this. It's a combo of her traditional green skin plant design, but with her human appearance and her animated series look. She kind of looks like a sexier version of her animated series appearance. Has those cool Venus flytraps on her shoulders, has the weird Adam and Eve style outfit, but I do really like her. Poison Ivy is a really kick-ass fighter in this. Ivy can summon Audrey 2 for her super move. That is pretty kick-ass. And summons like her plant powers, has her pet piranha plant she can summon for a boost or whatever. Poison Ivy is basically helping Gorilla Grodd take over the world. Of course, and Tasia Valenza is back, once again giving it her all. She is like the definitive Poison Ivy for people. I want her in Injustice 3 regardless. Really, Bodhi, you do? Okay. Injustice Ivy's never been favorable, even when she has Tasia's voice, but she does have her fans. I am one of those fans. I do like her really sweet fighting moves. I do like Poison Ivy's dialogue in this. Her banter, especially with Harley Quinn and Catwoman, is so hilarious. Yeah, they have that Gotham City Sirens mojo going on. Poison Ivy is more so a bit character, not too much story going on. I do like in her scenario when she beats Brainiac, if you do the boss fight against him as every character. Poison Ivy's ending has her succeed and using his tech to take over the world. Of course, yeah, Poison Ivy always trying to take over the world with her babies. Wouldn't mind her returning in Injustice 3, or maybe some other villains too in the DC gallery. I'm hoping we see Zatanna come back. I love Zatanna. She is really cool. And Catwoman, if you know, is my favorite. Catwoman is a staple. She's like been in the first 2 games. It would make sense for them to bring her back, especially because Catwoman is a fan favorite. I do think Selina will be back, and I'm almost certain Harley Quinn is going to come back because DC keeps trying to shove her in your face. But Poison Ivy should come back because we finally got all 3 of the Gotham Sirens together for a fighting game. For new characters I hope we see in Injustice 3, I want to see the Spectre and Constantine. Those would be pretty cool, and the Crow should be a DLC. I want to see Brendan Lee's Crow as a DLC in there. That would be so cool, fighting as a character who can take a lot of pain. She was a fun fighter, though. Absolutely. Bodhi, did you like her super move with Audrey 2? Ivy's super move is she slaps her opponent around and throws them to her giant Venus flytrap, and it's supposed to look like the Little Shop of Horrors monster. Pretty cute gag, honestly. I want Star Sapphire with Olivia Dabo's voice in Injustice 3 so bad. That would be amazing. And makes sense too. We had Sinestro in the first game, Atrocitus in the second game. Third one has to be Star Sapphire. If you're listening to this NetherRealm, get Star Sapphire, revoiced by Olivia Dabo from the Justice League tune. She can still do it, she can still pull it off, and you make so much money if you use the sexy Star Sapphire design. Yeah, that was badass. Pretty cool super move. Okay, so not too much to say about this Ivy. It's a fighting game where you get to play as every cool DC character. Well, not every, we're still hoping for some, but a lot of the big names. Poison Ivy, pretty awesome. Going on to Mother Nature. Alright, so I might need a little help identifying this Ivy. They cut off the picture of her face. You only see her legs here. Nice stems, but yeah, I can't tell who it is. So, if anyone can identify this Ivy here with just the leg portrait, please tell me. Otherwise, I'll be doing another Ivy in the meantime. Let's talk about Batman the Long Halloween Poison Ivy, played by Starbuck herself, Katie Sackhoff. If you don't know, Katie Sackhoff is Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, and most recently, Bo-Katan from the Star Wars universe. And believe it or not, she's actually pretty good. Yeah, this Ivy, going on to S tier. I know, I'm kind of surprised too, but I really enjoyed the depiction of Poison Ivy in the Tomorrowverse. The Tomorrowverse has gotten so much wrong over the years, has so many bad movies, but believe it or not, Poison Ivy is the one character that actually got perfect. Poison Ivy is so awesome in these movies. Once again, she's kind of a bit player, but she's the starter boss for movie 2. Sorry, not trying to get them all into frame. Okay, so Poison Ivy shows up at the end of the Long Halloween movie part 1. I recommend these two movies. They are actually good. They are good Batman stories. Very faithful, did some new things, but honestly are very much worth your time. The Long Halloween is basically a story about the rise of supervillains in Gotham. Batman and the mob are still fighting after year 1, and the winds of change are definitely upon them. Supervillains are rising and becoming the greater evil in Gotham City. Mob boss Carmine Falcone is completely losing power, and we see the rise and origin of a few Batman villains. Carmine Falcone, desperate for a win, hires Pamela Isley to seduce and manipulate Bruce Wayne. At the end of part 1, Bruce is mesmerized by Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is a hired honey trap working for Don Falcone, so they can both steal Bruce Wayne's endless trust fund. Yeah, part 1, Batman actually loses. He's not close to the Holiday Killer. He's losing to a lot of these supervillains, losing control of Gotham, and to make matters worse, Falcone has him completely under his thumb. He and Poison Ivy trap Bruce Wayne and are manipulating him so they can gain access to his wealth. Poison Ivy basically traps Batman in the perfect illusion of their romance, and Katie Sackhoff is pretty good as this character. Her Poison Ivy is creepy, but also very beautiful. She is a deadly flower. She definitely goes for scary Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is the most beautiful woman in the world, traps Bruce in like this Matrix simulation of their romance, where they're picking flowers together. He sees Ivy as this gorgeous woman in white. They're like walking around together. I want Star Sapphire with Olivia's voice in Injustice 3 so bad. Yeah, you do, Bodhi. Olivia is pretty cool. Alright, making sure everything's working. Didn't blow up my mic. Okay, very good. Okay, so I do like the Long Halloween. She traps Bruce, and Catwoman is the one who saves Bruce. Wayne Manor has become a complete villain lair. Poison Ivy's plants have taken over the entire hallways of Wayne Manor. It's becoming a park, basically, a jungle. Bruce is trapped in a bush, and they do confirm Poison Ivy is definitely having her fun with Bruce Wayne. Bruce is a complete puppet, and yeah, they are doing the dance together. Yeah, Poison Ivy brings Bruce into her bush. Make of that metaphor what you will. Yeah, they go into like a bush together, and it's very clear what Poison Ivy is doing with them. She's having her fun with Bruce until Catwoman shows up to save the day. We get a sexy cat fight between the plant lady and the cat thief. Catwoman fights Poison Ivy, beats her ass, and breaks her spell over Bruce. Bruce snaps out of it, realizes he's been played, and gets back to defeating Carmine Falcone and finding the Holiday Killer. And Poison Ivy doesn't reappear until the end of the movie, where Two-Face rises as a villain and recruits every future Batman rogue to join his villain army. Yeah, Two-Face becomes the main villain of this movie. Two-Face wages war on Don Falcone, and Poison Ivy is one of the villains recruited by him. He gets Poison Ivy, Penguin, Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, and somehow the Joker. Yeah, the Joker is on board with Two-Face's plan. They lead an uprising and kill Don Falcone together. Poison Ivy's there in the final fight, and she's defeated. Yeah, I don't know what Ivy that is with the legs only. Is that on your list? Try looking it up. Yeah, this Ivy I don't recognize. I might have to dump her onto Unknown Specimen then. If anyone can identify this Ivy or it's just her legs, please say so, because I can't tell who it is. As nice as Ivy's legs are, I do have to know who this character is. But anyways, Long Halloween Ivy. Yeah, she's pretty cool. I love Katie Sackhoff's performance as this character. I honestly hope she voices Ivy again in the future, because she really did a fantastic job. Then, Poison Ivy makes one last appearance in the Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy. Yeah, a lot to say about those movies, but Ivy's there with the Legion of Doom because I guess DC realized how popular they made Ivy again. Ivy's there with the Legion of Doom on their council. They're fighting against the Justice League, only to be defeated, and that's kind of the end of Tomorrowverse Ivy. But yeah, Long Halloween Poison Ivy, really love it. Underrated Poison Ivy. Hope Katie Sackhoff voices her again, because liked her more as Poison Ivy than Bo-Katan. Yeah, I went there, I said it. Yeah, this Poison Ivy, S tier, underrated, Mother Nature Ivy. Yeah, this one, Ivy, if somebody could tell me which Ivy this one is, please tell me. Otherwise, she's going on to Unknown, because I don't recognize her. But it looks like we're going to wrap things up on a positive-ish note with the Arkham Saga. Alright, let's do this. We're almost there. Alright, let's knock off the bad one, Kid Ivy from the Suicide Squad game, who, yep, going on to F tier, Dead Plant. Even worse than Batwoman's Ivies. That's how bad she is. So, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a god-awful game. Do not recommend it. It is trash. It is one of the worst games you'll ever play in your life, and it basically craps over everything good about DC and the Arkham Saga. So, remember Poison Ivy's tragic, beautiful, heroic sacrifice at the end of Arkham Knight? Well, screw that. They brought her back. Lex Luthor made a clone of the Arkhamverse Ivy, and she's reborn as a child. Ivy is growing up, this time I guess as a mutant right from birth. And they add in these uncomfortable, vomit-inducing scenes of Harley Quinn being attracted to her ex-girlfriend as a 8-year-old girl. Yeah, feel free to vomit again. Harley Quinn is lusting over this child version of Ivy. Ivy is reborn and becomes a pseudo-ally to the Suicide Squad, and we get these gross moments of Harley Quinn giving bedroom eyes to a minor. Well, Red, you're back, and you're fun-sized. Actual quote from the game, people. Yeah, trash. God-awful. They ruined the Suicide Squad, and they ruined Poison Ivy's heroic sacrifice by bringing her back as a child that Harley Quinn can touch. Yeah, terrible, terrible. What? Harley, what the hell, girl? Yeah, that's actually a line. Like, Harley Quinn is acting like this Ivy is the one she knew back in the good Arkham games, and acting like, yeah, this is weird. Like, you see a child version of your lover and you decide to flirt with them. Yeah, Harley Quinn's a pedophile. Harley Quinn flirts with Kid Ivy and says, "Oh, now you're fun size," giving her the bedroom eyes, and it is a vomit-inducing moment, and just one of the many reasons why Suicide Squad is a god-awful sin against nature. Pointless inclusion, absolutely. Bring me Chris Henson. Harley Quinn, you're caught on To Catch a Predator. Somebody needs to make an edit of that. Yeah, This Poison Ivy sucks, pretty pointless, and awkwardly disappears. She just gives you a power-up for the game, and that's it. They imply that we're gonna see Ivy again in a future title, but thankfully the Suicide Squad game bombed horribly. Yep, easily the worst Poison Ivy of all time, going on to F tier. Chris Hansen. Oh, Chris Hansen, oh no! Then Harley Quinn will shoot herself, South Park style. Alright, let's wash away the grossness with a good Ivy. Let's do Assault on Arkham Ivy, who is going on to Pretty Poison. Alright, Bodhi, I know this might be a controversial one, but Poison Ivy is in Assault on Arkham for like 2 to 3 minutes because it's a cameo. Yeah, as much as I love Assault on Arkham, unfortunately we're judging Ivy's and she's barely in it. Ivy is there in the prison break. Once the Joker breaks out of Arkham Asylum, we get cameos from DC villains, and Poison Ivy shows up, not voiced by Tasia Valenza, but voiced by Jennifer Hale. Jennifer Hale is a great voice actress, but really she doesn't really talk as Ivy, she just does grunts and hums. Yeah, that's it. Ivy doesn't get a single line of dialogue. We just hear Jennifer Hale grunting and doing her orgasmic screaming from the game. Yeah, we see Poison Ivy breaks out. Of course, she's in the botanical gardens, and she takes a bunch of Arkham guards and brainwashes them for her army, similar to her Arkham Asylum boss fight, but the day is saved, not by Batman, but by Commissioner Gordon. Yeah, Poison Ivy gets taken down by Commissioner Gordon. I do like that the Arkhamverse is showing the police and military are actually competent in this universe. But yeah, Poison Ivy shows up for a cameo and she's beaten by the police. They throw tear gas to knock out her brainwashed minions and basically shoot her giant plant before it forms into her boss. Very clever, Commissioner, but yeah, that's the end of Ivy. Honestly, the design is perfect because it's her Arkhamverse design, of course it is. She only wins points because she's connected to the Ivy you all know and love. This is why I prefer Marvel Rivals. And this is why Superman works alone. I'm fine with Pretty Poison, just look at her. Yep, it's Arkham Ivy in 2D animation. How can you not love that? Yeah, you know what? Then I might bump her up to S tier, but I'll put her low on S tier. I'll put her low on S tier because you all know the Ivy that is #1 and deserves to be on here. Let's finally end this with the Ivy you all know, love, and want to talk about most, Arkhamverse Ivy, who, shocker, is my #1, Tasia Valenza's Poison Ivy. I'm sorry, Diane, but yeah, Arkham Asylum gave Ivy a total makeover and made her one of the hottest characters of video games. Fair enough. My Shayla. Yep, we made it, folks. We made it to Arkhamverse Poison Ivy, who is perfect. This is like one of the hottest depictions of Poison Ivy, but also very well written, very well acted, and actually made Tasia Valenza a defining voice for this character. Yeah, Valenza surprisingly came in and did an excellent job playing Pamela Isley. Even in her interview tapes, she still sounds like Ivy. Alfred, I'll cancel the pizza. Reference to Batman and Robin. Yeah. Okay, so Poison Ivy is in most of the Arkham games. The one she wasn't is Arkham Origins, which unfortunately removed a lot of the good characters. But yeah, this is peak Poison Ivy. Love the design, love the writing, love Tasia's performance, and love the character's satisfying finale. Yeah, Bodhi, I said it. I do like how this Poison Ivy ends her tenure in this universe. This Poison Ivy, she is epic. She is great, she's cool, she's kick-ass, has one of the funnest boss fights in Arkham Asylum, and surprisingly the most profound character developments of all these Ivies. Maybe next to the animated series Ivy, but yeah, this Ivy, fantastic. And as always, ending on a high note with the Arkhamverse Ivy. God, this Ivy was awesome, boss fight-wise in Asylum, and redeemed in Night. Yeah, Bodhi, I know it's controversial, but I do love Ivy gets redeemed in this game series. Arkham Knight, she was one of the highlights, minus her redesign, but yeah, I did like the writing at least. Tasia's my definitive voice I hear when reading the comics. That doesn't surprise me. Tasia's become everyone's definitive voice. If you don't hear Diane Pershing's, usually it's Tasia. So I had no idea who Tasia Valenza was until this series. This Poison Ivy was so good, it made Tasia a high-profile voice actress. She was always there, but this is like one of her iconic characters now, thanks to the Arkhamverse. Nature always wins. Highly quotable, too. Next time, let's do Mad Hatter, or I was thinking of Blight, but he doesn't appear much outside of Batman Beyond. I think you're thinking of Firefly. We could do Firefly since he has moments, and we could technically count Blight on that tier list. Regardless of her rushed redemption arc, I don't like Arkham Ivy deserves to be an alpha wolf. Hey, Ivy died a hero instead of living long enough to see herself become the worst villain. Alright, so Arkham Asylum, great game. I don't care what anyone says. Arkham Asylum is S tier next to City and Origins and even Knight. In Arkham Asylum, Poison Ivy is one of the inmates locked up in the asylum until the Joker and Harley Quinn break her out. Mostly Harley Quinn, but Joker uses her to distract the Dark Knight. You actually meet Ivy, she's trapped in her cell, and our first time meeting her, pretty interesting. Ivy is like locked in a special designed supervillain cell, holding her plant powers back. However, Harley Quinn releases her, and Ivy becomes a side villain and penultimate boss fight in the game. Ivy decides she wants to let Joker have his fun, and she goes to the botanical gardens, I presume to build up her plant powers. We see her like growing her vines, controlling plants again. Ivy's kind of resting and lounging around all sexy like, until Batman comes in. Batman asks her for a cure for the Titan venom, and she reveals, oh, the cure can be found under Killer Croc's lair. Yeah, apparently a rare plant mold grows underneath Arkham Island, so you can still stay there for the game, and you have to enter Killer Croc's boss fight. Ivy warns Batman that this isn't over yet, she'll be waiting for him, and Joker somehow shoots and infects Ivy with Titan. He's now got it fully prepared and is testing it, starting with using Ivy as an expendable test subject, and Ivy, I'm not sure how, but she got shot by the Joker at some point and becomes unstable on the venom. Ivy's powers not only return, but go full haywire. Arkham Island is turning into a plant apocalypse. It's overgrown, Ivy's plants are destroying everything, and you have to deal with those annoying spore plants. Yeah, remember those things, the weird flowers that are growing? Yeah, Batman mentions he fought them before, but man, in the game they are tedious to beat. Ivy's like flowers are growing, and if you don't punch them out, they like shoot killer spores that take away your health. It is honestly the only negative about the Arkham Asylum Ivy, but yeah, you beat up her plant minions. Eventually, Batman realizes that Ivy is too dangerous, he has to take her down first, and he goes to the Botanical Gardens, where Ivy is fully unloaded, and Tasia Valenza knocks it out of the park here. She's gone like full seductress mode. Are you ready for me? Do you think you can handle me? It's rude to keep a girl waiting, Batman. Really love her here. Yeah, Ivy, full seductress mode, really creepy boss fight. They actually made Poison Ivy really terrifying in this game. She is like a plant goddess and honestly very demon-like in her boss mode. You break into the Botanical Gardens, fight Ivy's brainwashed guards, and make it to the most epic boss fight of this saga, Giant Killer Plant Poison Ivy. Ivy grows this giant killer flower, and you have to like knock her, you have to hit her with batarangs and explosive gel every time it's open. It is like an open and close boss fight. Have to hit it when the time is right. And Tasia might have been too into this scene, where it always sounds like she's orgasmically, like, cackling. Yeah, you, like, fight her, and Ivy lets out a rather suggestive scream. You watch YouTube, all the guys in the comment section say I had to turn the volume down because I didn't want my parents to hear this scene. Yeah, you get the idea. Ivy, like, lets out her orgasmic screams of pain. Batman beats and basically deflowers her. Poison Ivy is defeated, and once again incarcerated in Arkham Asylum once the Joker's plot falls apart. We see Ivy, like, being taken for medical treatment, and Ivy was going to die from Titan poisoning, until Arkham City reveals that nope, she survived because Quincy Sharp was an idiot who brought a flower with him to see her. Wait, Firefly related to Blight? If you don't know, Saga, in The Batman cartoon, Firefly becomes Blight in that series. Firefly takes a rare fire element chemical and accidentally gets exposed to it while building a super weapon, and it turns him into the show's incarnation of Blight. Slash Dr. Phosphorus, but yeah, Firefly becomes Blight, he becomes a flaming skeleton, and everything he touched burns away. It's kind of like a finale to his character arc. It was a pretty interesting idea. Yeah, next time I might do Mad Hatter. Regardless of her Rush Redemption. Alright, read that one. I didn't know who Tasia was before these games either. Apparently she was Sniper Wolf in Metal Gear Solid. Who would have thought? I heard Tasia was also in What's New, Scooby-Doo. She's the Latina race car driver in the Tremors episode. And she's apparently one of the supermodels in the Gargoyles episode. Yeah, I was surprised to see Tasia used to be on What's New, Scooby-Doo as bit characters. Yeah, Arkham Tasia, Ivy's well-deserved Mother Nature, perfect. Easily the best boss fight in Arkham Asylum, yep. Huh, interesting. Yep, it is, Saga. So, Ivy's defeated, but Quincy Sharp was an idiot. He brought a flower with him to see Ivy on her deathbed, and Ivy used the pollen from that flower to cure her Titan poisoning. Yeah, thankfully Ivy is part plant in this version, so Ivy survives being Titan poisoned. She makes a cameo in Arkham City. She gets a lot more in the Catwoman DLC, or if you already have the DLC in the main story, yeah, she appears there. Catwoman needs help breaking into Hugo Strange's confiscated vault and decides that this plan needs a woman's touch, where Catwoman goes to Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy's a mini boss fight because she's mad at Selina for not watering her flowers. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Poison Ivy implies that she's out for Catwoman's blood, has murderous rage towards her. Catwoman and Ivy have fun banter here. They're both being catty bitches towards each other. You beat up Ivy's legion of brainwashed goons, but Catwoman ends up trapped in her plants, and it turns out she's actually angry at her for petty reasons. You said you'd water them, Selina. They all died because of you. And Catwoman bargains with Ivy here, where they make a deal that she'll help steal her rare plant, which is locked in the confiscated vault too. So Catwoman and Ivy work together until Catwoman betrays her. Yeah, Selina is a chronic backstabber. Selina uses Ivy to help breach into Strange's vault using a super plant, making you kind of question how Ivy hasn't broken out of this prison before. But yeah, Ivy breaks into the wall. Selina breaks in for the hardest stealth battle ever, where you steal all the passes. Eventually she gets into the vault, and you have the option to destroy Ivy's plant. Of course you don't have to, but either way, Selina screws over Ivy. And that's kind of the end of Ivy's role in this game. There is the option to go back and talk to her. Selina will lie and say, oh well, Hugo Strange destroyed your plant, and Ivy decides she's done with trusting humans, and that's the end of her in Arkham City. Ivy is not in Arkham Origins, but there is a fun Easter egg. If you go to GothCorp, you actually see a ID pass card on a desk, and it's Pamela Isley's. Yeah, you can see Pamela Isley left her key card on the front desk, and you can see it referencing that Ivy is here and she's yet to undergo her villain transformation. Also, when you go into Victor's lab, you see he was neighbors with Poison Ivy. Ivy's lab is conjoined with the Cryo lab. You get to see a bunch of plants and a heat room there, hinting that Pamela Isley was working at GothCorp before her mutation. I mean, at least Catwoman saves Batman afterwards, long as you don't choose the bad ending. Yeah, screw him. Joker has won. Nope, rewind, you gotta choose the good option. Yeah, good on Selina. Of course she loves Batman, that's why she saved him. But yeah, Selina did screw over Ivy in all this. But it's okay because Ivy's a villain. Yeah, she gets referenced and alluded to in the Cold Cold Heart DLC. That's the closest to an appearance she gets. Ivy is also in the mobile game Arkham City Lockdown. She mind controls Robin with a brainwashing kiss and forces them to fight. It's a rather cute love letter to Batman and Robin, but done much better. But I don't think anyone has the mobile game anymore. But lastly, we make it to, finally, Arkham Knight, where Ivy undergoes a redemption arc. So it turns out Poison Ivy is actually done with villainy. She doesn't like being a supervillain. Scarecrow is gathering up a Legion of Doom of all of Batman's villains, and Poison Ivy is the only one who says, hell no. Ivy doesn't want to be with Scarecrow. She rejects him and his offer to kill the Dark Knight, decides to go out on her own, only for Scarecrow to be completely slighted by this and have her executed. Ivy is basically put in Catwoman's position, the damsel in distress Batman has to save. Yeah, in Arkham City, you save Catwoman from execution. In Arkham Knight, you save Poison Ivy from execution. And I do love Ivy's snarkiness here. She is not at all intimidated by the Arkham militia, making fun of their stupidity, and when Batman beats them up, having her own commentary. Now, that looks exciting. And eventually, Ivy does break out. One of the thugs takes her hostage, and unfortunately, he was not built with immunity because Scarecrow tries to gas them. Ivy is revealed to be completely resistant to toxins, which should surprise no one if you played the Lego games. Yeah, Ivy is immune to all poisons. She survives the Scarecrow fear gas and actually beats up the guard herself, escaping. However, Batman has her arrested. You test the Batmobile system. Ivy is the first villain you lock up. Ivy is put in her special cell up until halfway point in the game where she becomes plot relevant again. Batman is actually struggling to defeat the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow, finds out that there's a super duper weapon called the Cloudburst, making Batman realize he needs help, and he goes to Poison Ivy for help, leading to, honestly, a very interesting and best part of the game. Poison Ivy becomes an ally to the Dark Knight, because without her, every plant in Gotham will die. Scarecrow's ultra fear gas will not only poison people, but the plants and the environment will all die too. Gotham becomes Silent Hill, basically. Everything's melting, all the plants look like they're dissolving. Ivy agrees, but only to save her babies, and Ivy actually undergoes a really nice story arc here where she redeems herself. So, the Arkham Saga always teased hints that Poison Ivy was not fully evil. There was a tragic woman underneath all her bitterness and psychotic villainy, and we do see that come to fruition in Arkham Knight. Ivy comes to the aid of a town she once despised, and works with the Dark Knight to help save Gotham. The Cloudburst is destroying everything. You summon Ivy's giant super trees. Batman and Poison Ivy have an unlikely alliance, which honestly was pretty fun. I did like this idea the most of Arkham Knight. Batman and one of his ultimate villains working together. And Ivy, here comes the spoilers. Ivy heroically sacrifices herself to save Gotham. Batman destroys the Cloudburst, preventing it from spreading more. And Ivy uses the last of her life force and power to save the city, bathing it in plant spores which clear up the air, saving all life in Gotham, and Ivy dies in Batman's arms, dissolving Infinity War style. Was actually nice that Ivy helps in certain Batmobile sections, almost makes those parts tolerable, almost. Yeah, that is pretty fun. Batman and Poison Ivy in the main campaign, when you fight those stupid tank battles, Ivy actually does help and takes out a few tanks. Obviously not as many because, the game wants you to do all the work, but Ivy snipes out a tank or two with her plant vines. Your tin toys are nothing to Mother Nature. Pretty cool. Ivy actually is useful. Immune to toxin, but dies from an overload of Scarecrow's modified toxin. Bro, what's the point of that power? Well, I think the idea was Ivy's plants are also draining her energy. We just see, Ivy, hooks herself up to, these plant roots, and her, hands are on top of these absorbing mushrooms. I presume Ivy was giving her super energy to help make the plants stronger, and that just took too much out of her. But yeah, it's honestly a really beautiful scene, minus Batman, not looking at Ivy when she dies. He's, holding her, but not looking directly at her. Batman and Ivy sort of make peace and gives her final farewell. Nature always wins. A callback to the first game, Arkham Asylum, and what she said earlier as a taunt in Arkham Knight. It is honestly a very beautiful scene and one of the highlights of Arkham Knight. Ivy heroically sacrifices herself, saving Gotham and dying a hero instead of living long enough to become a worse villain. Yeah, Ivy goes out on a noble note, showing that she did have humanity deep down, and honestly, I do really like it. It was also a huge sign that characters were going to die in this game. Arkham Knight, say what you will about the story, but definitely tried to shake up the status quo for Batman fans, and this was definitely one of the highlights. Yeah, Ivy dies, gives herself up to save Gotham, and we see like a flower growing where her corpse was. We see like a red flower, hinting that Ivy might still be alive in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, Suicide Squad would crap all over that, but yeah, this Ivy, awesome. Really love her. Love her design. Minus Arkham Knight's. Yeah, I know, Bodhi. She looks like Shrek. I did not like Arkham Knight's redesign of Poison Ivy because they tried to give like deep fakes of the actors on their characters' faces, and Ivy's looked the worst. Tasia Valence's face did not meld well with Ivy's body. It looked really off-putting, and yeah, the redesign was bad. I see some fans defend like, oh, it's supposed to show that she got older, but Selena Kyle actually looks younger with Grey DeLisle's face on her. But yeah, so Poison Ivy's redesign, the only bad part about this character, but her design in Arkham Asylum and City, it is peak perfection. Really love her looks in that. Her writing was good in all her games. That definitely made up for it. This is easily my number one Poison Ivy. She is Mother Nature. I guess that makes sense, but you'd think her plant genes would regenerate and not the way Suicide Squad did it, lol. But we wouldn't have that sacrifice. Older? It's been a handful of months since City, and Ivy does not age that fast. Yeah, especially because she's actually supposed to be a full-grown adult in Arkham Asylum, but looks very pretty because of her plant powers. Yeah, it made no sense. It was just trying to justify the god-awful redesign. Yeah, it's supposed to be older Ivy, but Grey DeLisle and Tara Strong's Selena and Harley both look younger with their faces. Okay, but yeah, Poison Ivy, she is great. She is one of the top tier characters. If I ever rank all the Arkhamverse characters, she'll still make it onto S tier because Poison Ivy is perfect. This is my number one Ivy, going on Mother Nature. And mercifully, she was not in Arkham Shadows, so I don't have to pad this out even further. Bruce looks older, though. Kevin Conroy looking R.I.P. Hey, Kevin Conroy is cool, okay? Plus, he thought that was going to be his last game. Yeah, apparently, Arkham Knights, they don't specify how long it's been. Some people say it was months. Apparently, Wikipedia says it was years. It was like 5 years since Harley Quinn's Revenge, and I don't buy that very much. But yeah, we were supposed to believe that all the Arkham characters got older. Though, I think that was also to justify how Jason Todd is clearly a grown adult and not a teen Robin anymore. Alright, but as you can see, we did it. We actually did it. We got through every interpretation of Poison Ivy so far. Number one being the Arkhamverse Ivy because of course she is, and dead last being, ironically, the Suicide Squad Ivy because they butchered her character. Alright, we'll go over this list one last time for any of you late birds, or for those of you who click all the way to the end to see my ranking in full, and honestly got a lot more good Ivies than I would have thought. A lot in Mother Nature, a lot in A tier, and we do have some heavy bad plants down here, but honestly a much more positive tier list than I would have thought, because Poison Ivy is just that cool. Glad I could make it. Me too, Bodhi, you're awesome. But yeah, this Ivy tier list is pretty balanced. Arkham Ivy is well deserved as Mother Nature. Okay, Bodhi, we'll go over it one last time. In F tier, easily the worst Poison Ivy of all time is little girl Poison Ivy from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Yeah, was there really any surprise? It's a bad game, and they butchered one of the best characters. Then we have the two Batwoman Poison Ivies, the real Pamela Isley and her conduit Poison Mary. Yeah, Batwoman sucks, and of course they disappoint at one of the best Gotham characters. Yeah, still F tier. Grandma Poison Ivy. You missed this conversation, Bodhi. They tried to make an old lady proving she was still a sexy femme fatale Poison Ivy. Yeah, I believe the stupidity of that speaks for itself, F tier. Teen Titans Go, Poison Ivy. No shock there, Teen Titans Go sucks. Dark Tomorrow, Poison Ivy. Bad video game, and of course, bad interpretation of the character. And the first DC superhero girls, Poison Ivy. They tried to make Poison Ivy Fluttershy. That was a mistake. All of these F tier, the worst incarnations of Plant Lady. Alright, next in Needs Water, Batman Azteca Poison Ivy. They tried to make Poison Ivy a heroic nature goddess. Completely misunderstood the character. Maggie Gia Poison Ivy. I'm sorry, Bodhi, but this was easily my least favorite Ivy in Gotham. They made Ivy a dumb bimbo. Do not like that take on her. And Batman and Harley Quinn Ivy. Yep, it was a terrible movie. Ivy has some funny moments, so she won some points, but yeah, pretty bad. Wish they did her much better justice, but that was a terrible Dear John letter. Unknown Specimen. The only two I don't recognize is this one that her head was cut off. I don't recognize it. I'm sorry. And Bat Wheels Poison Ivy. I've never watched Bat Wheels. Both of these, not bad, but I just don't know who they are. They're going on to Unknown Specimen. Then in Wallflower, who are our B and C tier Ivies? Gotham by Gaslight Ivy. She was there and she was just a first horror movie victim. Child Ivy Pepper, yeah, she barely did much. Her adult counterparts were much more fleshed out. Alyssa Milano Poison Ivy. She had one episode and then she disappeared forever. DC Superhero Girls 2 Poison Ivy. Definitely a fun take on the character, but kind of out of focus. And Uma Thurman Ivy. This one, I do like parts of her, but have an equal amount of hate and cons for her. I'm gonna put her right smack in the middle. She was almost a good Poison Ivy, but ended up Wallflower. All of these are adequate, passable Poison Ivies. Not the worst thing ever, but also not the prettiest plant in the garden. Next in Pretty Poison, Brave and the Bold Ivy, TMNT Ivy, hilarious joke character, the Batman Ivy, I know, controversial Bodhi, but I thought she was a pretty fun take on the character. Lovecraft Ivy, Peyton List Ivy, underrated. Lake Bell Ivy, pretty funny. Batman Ninja Ivy, and Justice League Action Ivy. All of these ones, pretty good. Fairly decent. Had fun with them. Even the ones that were bit characters like Brave and the Bold and the TMNT Ivy, who was at least funny. All these Ivies are actually pretty passable. I would not fight you on them if they were on your S tier ranking, but I think they were pretty poison. They were definitely interesting Poison Ivies. And up top in Mother Nature, who are our top S-tier Poison Ivies? Assault on Arkham Ivy, of course she is, she's connected to Arkhamverse Ivy. Katie Sackhoff Ivy, really underrated, want to see more of her, hope Katie Sackhoff plays her in the future. Injustice 2 Poison Ivy, yep, badass, hope she comes back for the third one. Both Lego Poison Ivies, really cool designs and definitely fun use of her powers. Peyton List Poison Ivy from Hush. Peyton List got to play an accurate Poison Ivy, and lo and behold, she did very well. Yep, Peyton, you made it up to A and S tier. Both animated series Poison Ivies, Diane Perishing is a classic. Like everything about the animated series, they did a phenomenal job, and this character especially was one of the best depictions. But number one has to go to Arkhamverse Ivy, who, shocker, is my number one. Arkhamverse, or the animated series, is always number one on my tier list. And this Poison Ivy knocked it out of the park. Love the design, love the powers, love the boss fight, and love Tasia Valenza's performance. She is my number one Mother Nature. And that completes our tier list. We did it. Try to get the ranking in full here if you want to see one last snapshot of it one last time. So, got that. Arkhamverse Ivy number one, and Suicide Squad Kid Ivy dead last, because that's where she belongs. Glad you can make it too, Bodhi. So, definitely had fun doing these tier lists. What will we do next time? Well, some people have suggested I do Deathstroke and Mad Hatter. Those could be really fun tier lists, honestly, and I am familiar with most of the incarnations. Honestly, Mad Hatter I might lean more towards because he wears green, and that would definitely fit St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, Mad Hatter, Deathstroke, definitely up there. I am thinking about doing another Power Rangers episode tier list. I'm trying to get Wolf in on it, but we'll see. Wolf and I are rewatching Power Rangers for more tier lists, of course, and possible top 10s in the future. What do I do for videos? I do have a Tales from the Dark Side available on Patreon. Go check it out. It's a pretty crazy one, and one I hope you guys get to see real soon. I'm currently working on another ranking video, an actual video this time, not a tier list. I plan to rank another saga as a surprise for you guys. Then I might do another top 10. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm currently working on a new video in the process and have Tales from the Dark Side available for you now. If you're curious, I also did top 10 worst parents from two of our favorite shows, Goosebumps and Haunting Hour. Those are up there now. Really had fun making those, and I'm sure you guys are glad I finally crossed those off the list. Glad I could make it. Well, see you all next time, and remember to beware of plants, especially the female-like ones. See you, Shadow. Glad you could make it. Alright, but thank you guys for watching. Glad you enjoyed these tier lists. We'll see what we do next time. I might lean towards Mad Hatter now that somebody brought it up, but yeah, we'll wrap this up and I'll set you guys free so you can finally enjoy your day. Take one last snapshot. This is my full Poison Ivy ranking. Poison Ivy is a great character, and as you can see, has a lot of great depictions in her garden. This is definitely one of the best Batman characters ever, and I highly recommend watching the stories with these Ivies. Alright, let's wrap this up. Remember to like, comment, share, or subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I'll see you all next time. Same cat time, same cat channel. And remember, kiddies, nature always wins.